Yes.
With the restroom for a while.
All right, is this going to be his witness?
Yes.
Do you have another witness?
You had the first two, Judge.
Is there a witness here that he is not going to question?
Not easily, Judge. Can I please have 1 minute to let him start? But I know the witnesses are here already. There he is. Recalling.
All right, let's bring the jurors in.
All right, the jury.
All right, everyone, please be seated. All right, defense, you may call your witness.
Thank you, Judge. Defense calls J.P. Carrasco.
All right, and if you'll place that square silver microphone on, please. The square silver microphone, if you'll place that somewhere on your top. Can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record,
John Carrasco,
and if you'll spell your last name, please.
Carrasco.
All right, defense, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You stated your full name was John Carrasco. Okay, what do you go by?
JP,
JP. And JP, what's your date of birth?
August 3rd, 83.
JP, how do you know Jesse Prado?
We met as kids when I moved to Delhi.
And do you remember what year it was you moved to Delhi, or how old you were?
I was about 11.
Where'd you grow up originally?
I moved from Pearsall,
And how old are you now?
42.
Same age as Jesse, more or less. So when you moved to Delhi, were y'all in school together?
Yes.
Is that how you met is that how you met Jesse?
No, we met this summer.
Okay. And when you met Jesse, did y'all pretty much kick it off as friends pretty quickly
Yes.
after that? Okay. Being the new kid in town when you moved to Delhi, was there kind of a period of time where you and Jesse, after you became friends, that he was standing up for you?
Constantly, I mean, he would say, that's my friend, leave him alone, stuff like that, this is the new kid, that type of stuff.
And from there, have y'all remained lifelong friends?
Yes.
Now, at some point in your life, did you join the military?
Yes.
How old were you?
19.
And when you left for the military, did you and Jesse remain friends?
Yes.
Would you come back to San Antonio or Delhi quite often?
In the last 6 years of my career, yes.
Okay. And tell the jury, how long were you in the military for?
10 years.
And what year, like time frame, like what were the years?
From 2002 to 2012.
And what branch in the military were you in?
The Army.
Were you deployed?
Twice
Where?
to Iraq.
Did you see combat?
Yes.
upon coming back to the States, did you stay in the military?
Yes.
Okay, how so?
Say again?
How so? Like, what was your role at that point, coming back to the States?
After in the military,
Mhm.
as a military police?
Okay. And was that here in the San Antonio area, or where was that?
No, my last duty station was Brooklyn, New York.
And just to kind of finish off your career after the military police, have you done any kind of further service or for the military specifically?
No.
And at this point in time, what do you do? Are you retired?
Yes.
Now let's go back to when you joined the military and left Dilley. At that point, had Jesse had at least one of his children?
Yes.
Okay. And at that point, had him and Monette gotten together?
Yes. When I left the military?
Well, yeah, when you left for the military.
Yes.
Okay. And so in that time frame, Jesse becoming a dad, a young father, were you familiar with him being a father and his role as a father figure?
Yes.
Okay. How so? Like how would you describe that to the jury?
I mean, from what I saw, he was always good with his kids. His kids loved him. The kind of stuff I would like to have with my kids.
And when you would come back from the military and see Jesse and his family, was that the same kind of experience
Yes.
with regards to his family? Okay. And at some point, did you and Jesse both live in the San Antonio area nearby one another?
Yes, from 2012 to 16.
Where was that, just roughly?
Live Oak.
When y'all lived close by, were y'all hanging out a lot?
Oh yeah.
And do you have kids yourself?
Yes.
So would y'all's families share time together?
Not so much.
Okay.
I was divorced, so
So you didn't have your kids with you
No.
if you're here in San Antonio. Okay. But you would go over and hang out with his family. And again, this is now later in time, 2016 and 2019. His kids are a little older than. Had you seen Jesse and his family grow from
Yes.
before?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, just wait till I finish so she can get us both down, okay? Now, obviously, then you knew Monette. How would you describe Monette and Jesse's relationship for the vast majority of time that you knew them?
I mean, I thought they were always good. That most of the time they were, I mean, for the most part, I thought they were always good. They seemed like they loved each other very much.
Were you familiar with Jesse's oldest brother?
Güero?
Yeah. And in your experience with Jesse and his family, how would you describe his relationship with his oldest brother?
It was like it was his mentor, his father figure, his role model, his hero.
And so when the jury's heard some testimony regarding his oldest brother and him passing away, and as far as your observations after that, would you agree with the other witnesses who have testified that it deeply affected Jesse?
Oh yes.
How so?
I mean, he just seemed more distant, kind of, you could tell he was depressed.
And that happened around 2021. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Are you aware where Jesse was working around that time and shortly thereafter? Like what kind of work he was doing?
He was driving trucks and working in a warehouse.
And the driving trucks part of it, did it require him to have like a license, like a CDL?
Yes.
And are you aware that at some point he was no longer able to do that part of his job?
Yes.
Okay. How did that affect him?
He didn't like it. It was horrible. He didn't want to work there.
And why is that? Can you explain for the jury? Like what?
Because it wasn't what he was originally there to work for. He was going to drive trucks and he wasn't making enough, and wasn't what he wanted to do.
Okay. And as far as that goes, was that something that you observed that also had affected him negatively?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the jury again has heard testimony and evidence regarding Monette and Jesse's marriage breaking down and them separating. At some point, were you made aware of the fact that Jesse and Monette had separated?
Yes.
And without going into details of conversations or anything like that, did you also become aware that part of it was involving Monette having an affair?
Yes,
And knowing Jesse being, I mean, would you describe Jesse as like your best friend, one of your best friends?
my best friend, yes.
Okay. Being Jesse's best friend, how did that in particular affect him?
I mean, it hurt him very much. I mean, he was already dealing with, two other things going on. He just kept spiraling down.
Like one thing after another.
Yep.
And in general, like knowing Jesse for basically your whole lives, how would you describe his demeanor on a daily basis? Was he somebody who was a positive person typically, or a negative person
A
typically?
positive person,
And can you give the jury some examples of
Just-
what you mean?
always eager to meet people, happy-go-lucky type person. I mean, always introducing himself to random people.
Being friendly?
Yes,
Was he helpful
yes, always helpful.
and to strangers as well as friends?
Yeah, always to strangers. It was crazy.
And did he go, I mean, in your opinion, did he go from being a happy-go-lucky person to something different after all this? After
Yes,
these incidents we're talking about?
yes,
His brother passing away, his career kind of changing directions, his wife leaving him.
yes.
Now, I want to turn your attention to why we're all here today. Do you remember finding out about Jesse shooting 2 police officers?
Yes.
When you heard the news that Jesse had shot 2 police officers, what was your initial reaction?
I couldn't believe it
Why not?
because it's not the type of person that I've known him to be.
And when you heard specifically that it was police officers she had shot,
It was just, I couldn't, I didn't think it was possible for him. No,
and is that based off of your personal relationship with him?
yes,
And to be clear, like you told the jury, you're a combat vet, right?
yes,
You're military police.
yes,
And so I imagine that for you in particular, having that service, this was probably even more impactful in a way. Is that fair?
yes,
Because, I mean, if somebody shot one of your brothers, would you want that person to be held accountable?
yes.
And in being here today, are you in any way trying to offer an excuse for what Jesse did?
No,
Then why are you here today?
to show his true character.
And is that why it's your testimony that this came as such a shock?
Yes,
Now, the state has brought up the fact that, shooting 2 police officers is a serious, serious offense with witnesses like yourself, lay witnesses, and ask people's opinions regarding what should happen in this case. Now, you're Jesse's friend, so you have a certain perspective on things. But do you agree with me that it's the justice system that is supposed to decide Jesse's fate?
yes,
And is that because, and well, let me ask you this. Do you know Jesse's pled guilty in this
Yes.
situation? He's taking responsibility.
yes.
And does that surprise you that he's owned up to what he did?
No, it doesn't surprise me.
In the aftermath of Jesse being arrested, were you able to speak with him like the next day, 2 days after, anything like that?
I was at least a month, maybe 2 weeks. I don't know.
It was at some time after. It wasn't in the immediate few days.
No, it wasn't.
And do you remember that conversation?
It was played for me.
Did we make you listen to listen to the phone call that you made with Jesse?
Yes,
Okay. And to be clear, that was the phone call where Jesse calls you from the jail,
yes.
correct? Okay. And in that phone call, how would you describe let's just call it your, I mean, at this point, your voice, like just your voice in general. How would you describe your voice?
I was shaky. I was very sad for him.
And this is to be clear, this is the first time y'all have spoken since the incident.
Yes, I'm very worried about him.
Why are you worried about him?
Um, what happened and where he's at.
And having listened now to the conversation y'all had and heard Jesse's responses to what you were saying, how would you describe what he was saying to you? Like, how would you describe his demeanor?
He was trying to cheer me up, make it seem like
Your
Yeah.
Honor, I'm going to object to speculation as far as what the defendant was intending to do. Demeanor is different, but what he was intending to do, objection.
Restrained.
How would you describe his demeanor regarding what he was telling you?
he seemed like he was trying to be positive.
And again, is that based off of your personal experiences with him, basically knowing him your entire life?
Yes,
And is that consistent with the type of person that Jesse is as a person?
yes,
And, to be clear, because we know the state's going to bring it up, him saying, don't worry about me, I'm $1 million weapon. In your mind, knowing Jesse, what was he trying to tell you?
Object to speculation.
That'll be overruled.
What was he trying to tell you?
that he's doing okay.
Did you feel like he was trying to put you at ease?
Yes,
And had you ever been in a situation like that with him before, where in general, where he's trying to make you feel better because you're feeling bad?
I mean, when I went through my divorce.
So it's typical of him to do something like that. Judge, we pass witness.
State.
That's fine. Mr. Preston.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a few questions for you. First of all, thank you for your service. I'm going to try to work backwards, I think, from what defense counsel was talking to you about. Regarding the jail phone call that we heard and we talked about, we now know that you're the person on the other side of the phone call. You said that in your mind, you think that him making that comment was trying to put you at ease.
Yes,
Fair. There are a lot of ways that you can put somebody at ease, correct?
I guess.
He could have said, hey, don't worry about me, it's gonna be okay, right? Yes,
Maybe, yeah, he could have said that.
he could have said, I'm doing okay. God has a plan, right?
Yep.
He could have said, you shouldn't be worrying about me, you should be worrying about the 2 officers that I nearly killed. Right?
Yep.
He chose to make light of the fact that his bond is set at $1 million after he nearly killed 2 police officers.
I don't think that was his intent.
You said that you're not surprised that he owned up to what he did. I'm curious, how much do you know about what he admitted to that day when he spoke to the police? What have you been told?
Nothing.
So do you know about the interview that he gave to the police the day that this happened?
No,
Do you know that he told the detective that if the officers hadn't approached him wrong, that this wouldn't have happened? Did you know that?
no,
Okay. Did you know that he said that the officers had sloppy and horrible tactics, and that's why he did what he did? Did you know that?
Objection, Judge. That misstates the evidence. That's why he did what he did.
The objection will be sustained.
I'll rephrase. Did you know that he told the detective, that he felt like the officers had horrible tactics? Did you know that?
no, I didn't.
You do know that Jesse doesn't have any military background, correct?
Yes,
So he doesn't have any professional experience to have an opinion on whether or not officers use correct tactics, correct?
well, an opinions is an opinion. Everybody's allowed to have an opinion.
And I'm talking about a professional background. He doesn't have that, correct? Okay. Regarding the incident itself, do you know about the text messages between him and Monette leading up to the incident?
No,
Okay. You said that you're a parent?
yes,
How many kids do you have?
7
7, wow, okay. What age ranges?
from 20 to 2.
Okay. And you've gone through a divorce, correct?
Yes,
I'm sure that was hard, I'm sorry.
yes,
Was there any infidelity involved in your divorce?
yes,
Okay. I'm not trying to pry, but obviously it's become a part of this case and Jesse's state of mind when all this was happening. So was the infidelity on your part or your
No.
wife's? I'm sorry?
not on my part.
Hers. It was on her part, okay. Did you pick up an AR-15 and shoot anybody?
No,
Okay. How would you feel if your wife were to call you and tell you, let's assume you had the affair, just for hypothetical purposes. How would you feel if your wife were to call you and tell you, if you don't tell me where she lives, how would you feel if I put a gun to our daughter's head?
I'd
Would
be
that scare
sad.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would it scare you if she said, what if I killed all of our kids and then laughed at you in court? Would that scare you?
Yes,
Do any of those actions sound like somebody with good character?
it sounds like, no,
No? You couldn't look at this jury and say you think somebody with good character would threaten the lives of their own children, correct?
so keep it to that one.
You said that you think it should be up to the justice system to decide Jesse's fate. Being a former military police officer, I have to assume that you believe in the justice system, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you also believe that it's up to the justice system to protect the community
Yes, ma'am.
from future potential dangers, I should say?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said that you did not think that something like this could be possible for him, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
But we now know that it is, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And there is nothing that you can say to this jury that means that it won't be possible again in the future, is there?
No, ma'am.
Are you, oh, sorry. When you left the military, was it honorable discharge, dishonorable discharge, how'd that go?
Other?
Other. Okay. May we approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
All right, so the jury.
You want to please be seated? And state your name.
Thank you. Just a couple more questions, Mr. Todd. Have you been a police officer before?
I was not a police officer. I was a military police officer.
I apologize. Have you been a military police officer before?
Yes, ma'am.
If one of your brethren or yourself had ever been shot in the line of duty, would you want the person who did it held accountable?
Yes,
Would you think probation is a sufficient punishment for someone who intentionally shot at uniformed officers doing their job?
that is for the court to decide.
Fair enough. Nothing further on.
Briefly, Judge. Mr. Carrasco, the state asked you about guaranteeing or not being able to guarantee in the future what Jesse may or may not do. Now, you've known Jesse, as we've established, for basically y'all's whole life. And you've described how much of a shock it came to you to learn what he did. In your mind, in your opinion, is that an example of the lack of future danger that Jesse is to the community? Does that make sense? My question was kind of long there. I apologize, but
Can you repeat it? I'm
okay.
sorry.
And let me rephrase. This is a question about, is Jesse a danger in the future?
No,
Why don't you think that?
because that was out of character.
And is that, again, based off of knowing him for his whole life?
Yes,
And of course, you can't guarantee anything, just like you can't guarantee that I'm not going to do anything,
no,
or Mr. Acevedo is not going to do anything.
no.
And the jury has been made aware of the timeline of events regarding Jesse and Monette and these conversations between the two of them. Would you agree with me when I say that something that somebody does in a span of time that is the worst time of their life is not necessarily going to be the best example of who they are as a person in general?
I agree with that.
And of course, people have hard times in their lives,
Yes,
and Jesse's going to have hard times in the future.
yes.
But besides this one point in his life, that was the worst point, are you aware of anything even remotely close to this moment of
No,
what he did?
no.
We pass one, Judge.
Any further questions?
Just a couple, Your Honor. Mr. Carrasco, you said that one of the reasons that you found this to be such a shock is because it seemed like it was out of character for you. Was him slapping Monette out of character for you
Yes,
and threatening the girls, that seemed out of character?
yes.
And so I guess I'm just wondering, given that he did all these things and all of these things are such a shock to you, isn't it possible you just didn't really know what he was capable of? You didn't really know what was in his character?
How do you know somebody behind closed doors?
I mean, I think that's a fair question, and so I guess that's another question for the jury is if he gets probation or if he gets a low prison sentence. Now that we know what he's capable of, how do we know he won't do it again?
Proper care?
Proper care? So you don't think he was getting proper care before this?
I think he had a lot of things going bad for him at one point in his
Sure.
life.
Sure. But the reality is, after this, he's gonna be a convicted felon, right?
Yes,
And life doesn't get easier with a conviction of felony, does it?
no,
So it's entirely possible that things could happen in the future where they just pile on, very similar to this situation, isn't it?
could be.
Cause I mean, although the things that he was going through was hard and tragic, they're very common normal occurrences in a human life, correct?
Okay.
Nothing further.
Again, the state's asking you, how do you know, or she asked you specifically, seems like you maybe don't know him. Do you think Jesse considers you his best friend
Yes,
and you consider him your best friend?
yes,
And, besides maybe his family, do you feel like you know him the best out of any person on this earth?
I think so.
And it's your opinion that in the future, he won't be a danger to the community.
No, I don't think it will.
You pass, Judge.
Nothing further.
Right, is this witness excused?
Yes.
Right, I'll need you to make sure. The rule has been invoked, you're not allowed to discuss your testimony or do anything about this. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Call your next witness.
We're gonna call Marcos Prado to the stand, Judge. Love you.
Square for a microphone on your lapel or something on the top. All right, if you raise your right hand, do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony it will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes,
Oh, you can hold your hand. Make sure to keep your voice up so everyone can hear.
yes, ma'am.
If you'll state your name for the record.
This is Marcos Prado.
Thank you. Marcos, can you tell the jury what is your relationship to Jesse Parado sitting to my left?
That's my father.
Okay, are you, what child are you to Jesse?
His first with my mom, Vanessa Torres,
All right, now, how old are you?
26.
Now, I have some questions for you. You know that your dad is pled guilty to a serious felony offense. You know that, right?
Yes, sir.
And this trial has been about what the appropriate punishment is going to be. Do you have your lifetime of information about your father that you can discuss with me?
He's a good man. I he he picked me up like every not divorced, but like separated parents would be, but he was there for me for everything.
And let me stop you. I mean, like I said, you have basically your lifetime, 26 years of experience with your dad. Do you think there's helpful information in what you know about him that could be helpful in determining what kind of person he is? Do you have that information?
Yes, sir.
All right. How would you describe Jesse as a father for the jury?
A really good man.
How would you describe him, how he existed out in the public?
Outgoing, friendly, kind, would help anybody, even a stranger.
A lot of people have talked about him being helpful, that he was that kind of guy. Did you ever go to the grocery store with him?
Of course.
Do you have any characteristics at the grocery store that just were kind of different than maybe the regular person that goes to the grocery store?
Just have a conversation with everybody.
Was he always outwardly friendly?
Yes, sir.
Were you ever with your dad when he would stop because he saw somebody he thought who might need help?
Yes, sir.
Like what are some examples of how your dad acted day to day when you know, you were with him as his son and you were a boy?
Like I said, just really nice and caring, helpful. Just we'll go to the store, somebody maybe had a flat tire or just anything, he will gladly just say, hey, do you need a hand? And he'll help out.
Now, what jobs do you remember your dad working? Or like, what are your first memories of the jobs he had?
For sure, when I was younger, he was a local firefighter.
Who was he a firefighter for?
Dilly?
Okay, and do you remember him coming home after fires or doing that kind of stuff?
Yeah, yes, sir. And I remember one time he promised me to take me to the carnival, the town next over. And I remember one time he got a phone call last minute and he had to go out. And I remember staying up all night and he didn't even come home until like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Did you stay up for him?
Yes, sir.
How did he come back? When he came back, could you tell he'd been fighting the fire all night?
Yeah, just ask him like how was it, and then he was okay.
Um, you know, from your perspective, now, I guess you saw your dad 2 days. I guess that was the last time you saw him in person, was 2 days before the event we're in trial for. Like, you remember that?
Yes, sir. I took him out for breakfast and just talking about our lives, and he was telling me how he's
Okay, and let me stop you because we're going to talk about that, but I want to ask you some specific questions because all right, so let me ask you this question. There's the 24-hour period in time where this incident occurred. And then I guess there's the 40 years before that. You know, we've talked a little bit over the last few days, a couple of times, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember any time, like I said, prior to this case existing, prior to that day between the 18th and the 19th, that 24-hour period, do you recall anybody ever talking bad about your dad?
No, sir.
Do you remember him getting into any trouble at all with anybody
No, sir.
prior to that time? Now, like in hindsight, now that you're an adult, does that seem odd that for a 40-year-old man, you just never saw him get into trouble with anybody?
Yes, sir.
Like, why do you think that stands out as a memory of him that you've told me about?
Uh, say again.
Well, like I said, you've talked about how he never had problems with anybody.
Mhm.
I mean, this is from as far back as you can remember, and you're 26 years old.
Yeah.
What did that observation mean to you? That just like your dad just never caused problems for anybody? Like,
Just a good person.
I mean, are there troublemakers in Dilley?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And are there troublemakers in the area that, when you hear they get in trouble, it's like, oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, of course.
Um, it seems to me like that could be an important point about your dad because do you find it common or rare that there's somebody who just never has problems with other people?
I feel like for me it's common. Like my family's pretty nice, my father included.
Okay. Now, what other kind of jobs did your father have as you were growing up?
Tow truck driver in the oil field.
All right. What do you remember about his oil field days?
Sometimes it's 1 week off, 1 week on, or 2 weeks off, 2 weeks on. I can't believe he was able to do anything he did, just working all those hours, then come back home and do all the things he did with me and Madison.
Was he very active with y'all as far as taking care of y'all when y'all were young?
Yes, sir.
Um, did y'all ever want for anything with him as your father?
Oh yeah, like during the summer, SeaWorld, going down to Dilley with everybody just to hang out, get a barbecue. So yes, we did a lot of stuff together.
Now, what was your, I guess, first real job once you got to adulthood? What did you decide to do with your life?
I grew up on a ranch with my grandparents, and my grandma really pushed me towards going to college. And I tried going to college for accounting, and I couldn't really afford it. So I left college and I tried working in the oil field, and I got into a car accident, and it made me really question like, what am I doing with my life? And I don't think I can go back to college with this kind of money I'm making. So I decided to join the military so I can get back on my feet.
All right. So how old were you when you joined the military?
20, about to turn 21.
All right. And what branch did you join?
Army.
Now, when you joined the military, was your father supportive of that?
Yes.
Has he always been very pro-military as
Oh,
far as you know?
yes, sir.
Um, now you know who JP is as well, right?
Yes, sir.
Who is JP in relation to your dad or to you?
My dad's best friend, but I consider him an uncle because he's been there since I was born.
All right. So, I mean, you know, JP is a decorated combat veteran, right?
Yes, sir.
And you know, he had some real tours where, I mean, he saw the ugly stuff in the Middle East. I mean, you know that, right?
Yes, sir.
And I guess you knew that because you were joining the Army, the branch he was in, after he did. Um, so how was basic training for you? Did you think you'd made the right choice for yourself?
Kind of questioned a few times. But yes, at the end of the day, like this is towards my future. So yes.
All right. So what was your first assignment in the Army?
COVID kind of happened, so it was kind of everything was up in the air, and they were kind of separating us from everybody. And they told us to just be ready to leave in the middle of the night during the day. And one night they just said, "Hey, we're about to get on an airplane. We're gonna go to Korea." And I was stationed in Korea for a whole year. And I heard talks of us maybe going to Poland during when Ukraine first started going to war to help with the humanitarian crisis. And I went to the doctor because my vision was changing drastically, and I was kind of worried about that. And I got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and I had to be medically discharged.
Okay. So, I mean, the MS, can you just give us the brief understanding of what that is and what they told you when they diagnosed initially your eye problems?
Um, that like my can describe it like my antibodies attack my spinal cord, and it messes with the connections to my brain, so it could affect like motor movement and cause like random spasms and stabbing pain, and of course vision too.
Okay. And so, I guess with that diagnosis, did you get brought back to the States for
Ye-
further evaluation?
Yes, sir. I was stationed in Fort Carson in Pardo Springs, so I can be medically discharged.
Did the MS prevent you from continuing your military career? Was it a forced discharge because the disease was too serious for the military to manage with you active duty?
It was quite simple at first, but they were afraid that maybe if they sent me anywhere, I might have another attack and it might be worse, and they didn't want to take a chance with that.
All right. During this time, was your father always supportive of you?
Yes, even when I came back home and I wasn't really 100% and I didn't want to talk to anybody, my dad really tried his best to like comfort me and talk to me and say he's there for me.
And again, was he always somebody you could rely on in that realm?
Yes, sir.
Um, okay, so now I want to go back to 2 days before his arrest. Can you tell me just a little bit about what y'all were meeting for? Or what was the occasion?
Um, just knowing that my dad was maybe might be going through a divorce and he's going through so much, I just wanted to hang out with him and say I can take you out for breakfast. And I took him out for breakfast, and he was just telling me about himself and how he's just trying to look towards like the future. Just I saw him; he was telling me how he bought an old used car from one of my aunts, and how he's just going to church and he's going to therapy, going to like a men's group, just to talk, just to get through the day. So
Now, was that consistent with the way your dad had always handled problems in his life?
yes, sir.
I mean, based on your conversation with him 2 days before this happened, he was trying to work through his problems.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, you know, if we're going to get to the crux of the bad stuff, I mean, 2 days later, this is where all this happened. Your dad did fire and hit two police officers, on the 19th of October in 2023. And this was 2 days after you just had that conversation with him. How did that make you feel?
I had a phone call the next morning. I was at the hospital getting my infusion for my multiple sclerosis, and my grandmother called me telling me that that she saw my dad on the news, and she wanted to tell me and be the first person to tell me. And at first, I thought it was a sick joke. Like, I just couldn't believe my father would do that.
Now, I guess it would be a common reaction to say, I can't believe someone would do that. But like, is that like, how sincere is that? Like, this is your dad is being accused of something that seems to be completely 100% out of character from the 40 years he's lived before this day. What do you mean by how serious are about you about how you couldn't believe it?
Just like, I just couldn't believe it. And just like I said, I talked to him 2 days prior, so I just couldn't believe it. Just escalated from that.
All right. So now the day of you hadn't seen him except for 2 days before, right?
Yes, sir.
I guess at this point, 2 years has passed. We have to punish him on some level, and there's a giant range of punishment. The punishment in this case can be anything from up to 10 years probation, or 5 up to 99 years in prison. So it's a giant range of punishment. Do you have what are your thoughts on how Jesse got here on that day when it seemed like it would have been virtually impossible for him to be in this position?
Just how he got there.
Do you have opinions on that for this jury as his oldest son? Like what happened?
Just my dad was telling me how just how tough.
Sustained.
Yeah, I'm not asking you about anything he told you specifically. More I'm specifically like as his son.
Oh, just
son
see.
of all your life, like it's kind of unexplainable how he shot somebody. In your opinion, what are your thoughts on it? Like, how could something like this happen?
Just seeing Monette less at the house, and the few times did come over, just seeing the difference. Like, was more quiet in there, and like Monette wasn't there, and like the kids were just visiting, they weren't living there, and just I felt sad for him, and I just couldn't believe how like 20 plus years of being together just led to this, and it made me feel sad.
Yeah, that makes you feel sad. Now, I guess do you have knowledge of, or do you remember when Wedo passed away? Do
Yes.
you remember what your dad's reaction was to that?
I wasn't exactly there when around the same period, but I bet he was really sad. But I was sad, and the time I did talk to him later, yeah, I think we're all sad about it.
Like personally, that his family was the most important thing to him. Would you agree with that?
Yes, sir.
Are you able? Well, let me ask it to you this way. You don't know exactly what made him snap or what happened exactly to have him make that decision to commit this crime, do you?
From what I heard, just when it's
Sustained.
Yeah. Well, you can talk about your own personal opinions if you have one as to what could have caused something like this, but you can't talk about what other people said.
I just feel like it was just an argument and just kept on escalating. And yeah, it just escalated greatly.
Now, do you have any, like, if we're going to ask you, is your dad a danger in the future? Do you have an opinion about that? Whether you think he would be dangerous in the future after this experience?
I don't believe so, sir.
And why do you say that?
Like I said, his whole character, his whole life has just been like nice, kind, and caring and helpful. Like I can't imagine him ever doing this again.
Okay. Now, a couple of factual things I wanted to ask you about. Um, now, were you old enough to remember when he was in the ATV accident, or were you too?
Oh, I don't remember that at all. No.
Okay, so that was, you were too young for that one. Okay, now there was a car accident that you were involved in that was very, very serious, wasn't there?
Yes, sir.
Um, were you involved in a real serious car accident with him?
Yes, sir. I just forgot how old I was.
Excuse me?
I just know I was single digit. I just don't remember the exact age.
Okay, so you weren't, it was when you were less than 10 years old, you were
Okay.
still a child.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember what kind of car y'all were riding in?
I just know it was green in the SUV, green SUV.
All right. And what basically happened as far as the accident? Head-on collision, a rollover, like what kind of?
Rollover. I wasn't paying attention because I was playing my PSP, and I just remember somebody was on the side of the road. My dad just turned and then turned again. The car just rolled over, and next thing I know, we're just in the air basically, and just landed. And I remember electrical wires on top of the hood, and then it was over.
Okay, so your first your first memory after the accident, once the car was moving, was your dad responsive?
No, he was unconscious.
Um, did you know if he was alive or dead?
I couldn't. I was just a kid. I tried shaking him, and then he wasn't responding. And there was a man across the street. The one that was on the side of the road was waving his arms at me and telling me to get out of the car because electrical wires. And I crawled out. I cut my arm on the glass. I was bleeding out like a lot, and I walked away from the car because he told me to. And a minute or two later,
Well,
I
let me
assume.
stop you there. Okay, so when you got out of the car, you cut your arm pretty bad,
Mhm.
right? Or I guess you had a pretty serious wound on your arm.
Oh yeah, like when I was a kid, it was like my whole arm was cut open.
All right, and so I mean I guess for a child who's single digit age, it was probably pretty shocking.
Yes, sir.
You had to be fearful for your dad because I mean you couldn't wake him up, right?
Yeah.
Now there was somebody who saw it, so at least there was somebody who could call 911
Mhm.
and somebody who could help you on some level. But basically, at first, I mean, you think you would probably worried about the car catching fire or being electrocuted? Is that what you
Yeah,
thought?
just like he didn't know what was gonna happen next, so just get away from there before I get hurt.
All right, because you could walk even though you were bleeding pretty significantly,
Yes,
right?
sir. I think it was all the adrenaline.
Okay, now your dad was unconscious, right?
Mhm.
And so I mean, unless somebody was going to grab him, he was just unconscious in that vehicle, right?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what we've marked as Defense Exhibit 2 and 3. Do you recognize what that is?
Oh yeah, the green SUV.
Is that the vehicle that y'all were in and what it looked like after the accident?
Yes, sir.
And I guess it shows two different views of the passenger side. And I guess that's the window you would have crawled out of.
Yes, sir.
Does it give a fair representation of how significant this accident was and how much damage it caused?
Yes.
All right, Your Honor, defense would move to admit this is Defense Exhibit 2 and Defense Exhibit 3 into evidence.
Any objection? Defense exhibits 2 and 3 is admitted without objection.
Marcos, did you follow the man's instruction who had seen the accident and try to get to where he was?
Not where he was, because there was a barbed wire fence. He just told me just to get away from the car. So I just walked towards the field.
Did you see that he was calling 911?
Yeah, he was screaming he was gonna call the ambulance, yes.
Where did you wait?
A couple of feet away from the car.
Okay. Uh, was there a point in time, sometime later, where your dad started to move?
Yeah, the door opened and he came out.
All right. Now, at this point in time, do you remember how many minutes or how long had passed since that?
For me, it felt like a minute or two, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was longer.
Okay. But the ambulance would have come at some point and taken both of y'all to the hospital?
Yes, sir.
Uh, Marcos, has your dad been a good man his whole life?
Yes, sir.
Do you say that with any hesitancy, or there, I mean, do you know of anybody who can say anything bad about him from before this incident?
No, sir.
Um, has he always been a good father to you and supportive?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to be able to have a relationship with him in the future?
Yes, sir.
Do you think, knowing him, that he's somebody who can follow the rules of probation or parole?
Yes, sir.
I mean, is he pretty good at following the rules outside of this one incident?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any hesitancy in telling this jury that he's a good man and that he's a lot more than this one incident?
Yes.
You don't, well, let me ask that wrong. Tell the jury what you think about your dad, despite this case. What should they know about him that you know?
He's a great father, and now that I'm older, knowing that he was 14, 15 when he had me and doing the best he can to be there for me as a father and just do things with me, like take me places, like hang out with me. Um, just being there as a father was amazing.
All right, I'll pass the witness.
You may proceed.
Marcus or Marco?
It's spelled Marcos.
Okay, it's C-O-S,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. And what is your date of birth?
February 8th, 1999.
So I want to talk to you about a couple of things. You stated that you're your father's first child, is that correct?
Yes, sir. I mean, that's fine. Sorry.
And so we kind of discussed that your father and your mother had you when they were in high school, is that fair to say?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. To your knowledge, were your father and mother ever in like a relationship with each other for a period of time?
No, they were separated the whole time.
Okay. And then a couple of years after your birth, your father gets into a relationship with Monette Ellis, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then I guess so growing up, was Monette kind of like your stepmom for all intents and purposes?
For sure, my stepmother, but I definitely consider her a mother.
So you would say that you're pretty close with her or were?
Yeah, we're close. I just my fault. Yeah.
And so I guess, because you stated, to Mr. Acevedo that you grew up on a ranch with your grandparents. So when you were growing up, did you live with your grandparents or who did you live with?
For sure, my grandparents. My mom was going to school and college, so yeah, I was living with my grandparents, more stable.
I guess, is it fair to say that your mom had like primary custody of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you were living, kind of with her and then her parents, is that correct?
Yeah, we're all living together.
Okay, and was that down in Dilly or where was
Yeah, it's outside Dilly on a ranch. Mhm.
that? And so then I guess during this time while you're living with your grandparents, you're seeing that your father would regularly visit you, is that fair to say?
Yes, ma'am.
And so I guess I want to talk to you, because you said you were stationed in Korea for 1 year in 2020, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then, do you remember what year you came back to the States?
Around 2021.
2021, okay, and then, that was when you were stationed somewhere else outside San Antonio, is that correct?
Yeah, in Colorado Springs.
Okay, and then what year did you
get out of the military and then return back to San Antonio.
2022.
And so around that time of 2022, do you recall what month it was?
Around April.
April of 2022. And so I guess during that time when you returned local, who were you living with or where were you staying?
I had to live with my uncle because my grandparents, they couldn't be on the ranch anymore. My grandfather was a ranch hand and he couldn't work no more, so they had to move in with their son, my uncle.
That's your mother's brother.
Yes, ma'am.
And was that here in San Antonio or in the surrounding city?
In San Antonio.
Okay. And I guess in 2022, that's kind of where some problems were starting between your father and Monet, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so when these issues were going on, were you aware of them at all or no?
Not really.
And so when we're speaking about your father and Monet, did you ever visit that house at Alta Puerta that they lived on?
A couple times.
If you had to estimate about how many times.
Like since I came back.
Yes, from, I guess, 2022, between 2022 and 20.
I want to say 2 or 3 times.
And so I guess when you visited, was Monet there the 2 or 3 times?
No, ma'am.
No, okay, and just regarding that, I guess you weren't able to interact and you really, or you weren't able to observe your father interact with Monet those 2 or 3 times you visited him, correct?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and so when we're talking about that house on Alta Puerta, you really did not know what was going on between your father and Monet and their marital home at that time, correct?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and just going into that, okay, were you aware that in January of 2023, your father slapped Monet Ellis?
I'm trying to think. Because everyone's been telling me this. At the time, I did not know it. No.
Okay, so at the time you didn't know it, but people have told you that since.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And regarding we stated to Mr. Acevedo that you believe that what led us here is that this was just an argument that escalated. Is that what you said?
That's like from what everyone told me and from
So that's your understanding. right?
Yes, ma'am.
But I kind of want to talk to you about the facts and ask you some questions about that, because if we're starting looking at January of 2023, witnesses have testified that your father slapped Monet in January of 2023, okay? And then there's also been other testimony that your father had threatened to pull a gun on your 3 sisters. Were you aware of that?
No.
Okay. Were you aware that your dad would text Monet and tell her that he was gonna burn the house down?
No, did not know about that.
Okay. And were you aware that your father threatened to put a gun on Madison to the point where Monet had to have her friend go over to the Alta Puerta residence to make sure that things were okay?
I didn't know about that.
Okay. And so knowing those things, would that change your opinion of your father's character at all?
No, it just doesn't sound like him.
So but you would agree with me, right? That we're talking about something that is escalating. Many people have said that your father's a good guy, and I know this is tough for you. I'm not trying to be rude, but this is something that I have to ask you, okay? This was not an immediate escalation. You would agree with me, right? Something happening between January of 2023 to October of 2023, right? That's a 10-month escalation at least, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And are you aware of the dynamic that your father has with like his sisters and brothers?
With his own sisters and brothers?
Yes.
Friendly? Yeah, of course.
Would you say that they're close with each other?
Yeah, like I mean, like they're not too far away. Just like he goes down Dilly sometimes when I was with them.
And would you say that you had a close relationship with him as well?
When I was there, yeah.
But I guess your father didn't reach out to you at any point and kind of let you know what was going on with him, is that fair to say?
Mm,
Outside of the meeting that you said y'all had 2 days prior?
Yeah, outside the meeting, he didn't call me and tell me about this stuff, no.
And so, I guess when we're talking about your father being a good man, you would agree with me that good men don't engage in the behaviors that your father has engaged in over those 10 months that I'm talking about, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And when we're talking about somebody that follows the rules, somebody that would slap their wife or anybody, that's not somebody that would follow rules, right?
No, ma'am.
Because that's a violation of the law, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now. I want to talk to you about the meeting that you said you had with your dad 2 days to the office, okay? From what you told Mr. Acevedo, it sounds like your father was kind of hopeful for the future during your meeting, is that what you took from that?
Yes.
Okay, and so he stated that he was going to church at that time and.
Yes.
And he also told you that he was going to therapy,
Yes, ma'am.
okay? And at that time, you thought that he was trying to work through his problem,
Yes, ma'am.
okay? And then, so he never gave you any inclination that he was suffering so bad that he was having homicidal thoughts.
No, ma'am.
And that was not apparent in his demeanor, was it?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And then Mr. Acevedo said that your father is being accused of this, but you know that he has pled guilty, meaning that he did engage in these acts that he's charged with, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, regarding the car crash, you stated that you were either 10 years old or younger when that happened. Okay, so you're 26 years old now, right? So that would mean that the car crash happened roughly over 16 years ago, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And after that, did your dad's demeanor toward you change at all, or did he seem, once he was released from the hospital and everything, did it seem to be normal?
Everything seemed normal. Yes.
You didn't notice any changes in him at all?
Just grateful.
You were just grateful that he survived?
But I think both of us just grateful.
And so what I'm getting from you is that, of course, you love your dad, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you don't want to see anything bad happen to him, right?
No, ma'am.
But do you believe that he should be held accountable for the actions that he intentionally engaged in on the offensive game?
Of me, of course, he did what he did, and I do believe there has to be something. Yes.
And I guess with your background in the military, had this happened to you or any of your service members, you would want to see them be punished, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Be confident.
Okay, Marcos, I want to clarify something from your examples that I think may have been a little bit misleading. Okay, so you've heard about one slap with no injuries, right? You've heard about a slap with no injuries at all, right?
Yes, sir.
You've heard about that. Okay, you know that was in the context of an argument when the affair in a 22-year marriage came to light and there was an argument over that. And like, that's the context of it, right?
Yes, sir.
And like, we're not going to justify that, but hitting somebody with the back of your hand with no injuries.
That's not. Right.
Sustained.
All right. A slap under that circumstance is something that you didn't see, but you've heard discussed from people involved in this case at this point that may have happened when there was an argument that was affair and marriage related during that time, right? That's
1, 2, that's not in evidence. She stated that the defendant didn't want her to go to work on that.
Sustained.
all right. Okay, so outside of that, if you knew that any comments about the daughters, and we're going to hear from one of them too, if all of that happened in the 24 hours of the shooting, is that consistent with like a time window where something happened in your dad's mind where he was not himself?
Like how you're saying,
Well,
can you say it again?
she was telling you about threats to your sisters, right? And would that be a horrible thing? If you know those threats were within hours of the shooting, would you kind of put them in the same context where, okay, in this period of time, something happened to your dad where he lost it on some level. Some people have said snapped. Some people have said mental health break. I mean, if it's all in that same 24-hour window, would you kind of see that as the
Yes.
one big event in his life?
Yes.
And I guess just to clarify, because admittedly, the prosecutors are doing their job and they're repeating the allegations of 2 threats to the daughters right before the shooting and a slap that hasn't been described in great detail in January or February of 23. Like I said, outside of those 3 things, have you ever heard anybody say anything that your dad has done bad?
No, no, sir.
And for decades, right?
Yes, sir.
Something serious happened to your dad on that October 19th day in his mind. Would you agree with that?
Yes, sir.
Did it have to be something serious to make him break who he was so much?
Sustained.
Well, what are your thoughts? Like, how could possibly, like, being his son, how could he possibly have done those things on the 19th, as far as you're concerned?
Just like him.
Sustained.
Judge, I'm asking for his personal opinion. From what
You'll
he
have to
knows.
lay the foundation.
All right. Okay, these things that the prosecutor has described to you that happened October 19th and hours within that time. You've thought about that for the last couple of years, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, what questions have you asked yourself in your mind of how your father got here?
Like, was it my fault? Like, could I have been there more? I was already in a bad place on my own, and I kind of told my dad I didn't want to be around him or like around the family. I felt horrible on my own, and I did not know that he was going through all these things, and I felt horrible. These past years, I felt like maybe I could have been there more for him.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. And I mean, you certainly know nobody's blaming you, right? I mean,
No, yeah,
nobody in the family blames you, right?
that's just my personal opinion.
Okay, but I get, okay, I asked that question, right? Like, what's gone through your mind?
Yeah.
In your mind, you're asking, is there anything you could have done to help? Is that fair?
I just feel like I just like wish I was just there more, maybe.
Okay. Uh, when people have described what happened to him as snapping, does that mean anything to you?
I mean, just like he just losing everything, like the home, like being a separated family. Like he already went through that with me, and now he's do it all over again with like my 2 younger sisters. It sounds pretty tough.
Mhm. I guess in the end, when you talk about it being out of character, again, is it as completely out of character as you can imagine anybody being?
Yeah, yes, sir.
I'll pass the witness.
Just briefly, Mr. Prado, so, I'm sorry to hear that you feel that you had some type of bearing on what is going on today. But you agree with me that your father's a grown man, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And it's really not the responsibility of children to provide emotional support to their parents, right?
No, ma'am.
And It sounds like, I mean, you've been through tough times yourself with your diagnosis of MS and everything like that. You would agree with me, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But, you know, you've still been able to remain a law-abiding citizen, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And ultimately, when you say that you wish that you could have been there for your dad more, you're not the one that made the decision to shoot to San Antonio Police.
No, ma'am.
Department.
Any
Nothing
further
further.
questions?
No, Judge.
All right, the rule has been invoked. You're not allowed to discuss your testimony or view anything about this trial until it is concluded. If you'll remove the microphone, please. All right, does anyone need a break? Yes, okay. All right, thank you. All right, we'll take a short break. I'm gonna have you all back here at 3:20. Remember my previous instructions. Everyone, please rise for the jurors.
All rise for the jury.
And then Ray.
Ma'am.
We'll take up your matter.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, and whenever you're all ready, could you bring out Brandon Garcia? Yes. Oh. Oh, yeah, and Angela Perez. Excuse me. Oh, there you are. Are you Angela Perez? Yes. All right, if you come forward, please. Court is calling 2024 CR 0431 and 2025 CR 003199 State versus Angela Perez. Can I have parties announced for the record?
State.
And are you Miss Perez? Counsel, in each of the cause numbers, have you reviewed all discovery with your client and did you receive all discovery? In each cause number, the court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. In each cause number, Ms. Perez, did you review the true bill of indictment with your attorney? Did you understand it? Counsel, in each cause number, do you waive the reading of the indictment? State in the cause number ending in 3-1, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented? And in cause number ending in 9-9, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented? All right, and each of the cause numbers, did you review the court admonishments with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it in all the appropriate places? In each cause number, you're charged with possession of a controlled substance, penalty group 1, less than 1 gram. That's a state jail felony. Range of punishment is anywhere from 180 days up to 2 years from the state jail facility and up to a $10,000 fine. Did you understand? If you have a plea with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea. If for any reason the court does not follow your plea and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand? You have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state will call, and the right to remain silent. Did you understand by entering this plea, you're giving up those rights? And did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea in each of these cause numbers? Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
Yeah.
Do you believe she has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against her?
Yeah.
Do you believe she's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense? Ms. Pettis, in each of the cause numbers, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter the plea? Anyone promised you anything other than the plea? Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented? If you're not a U.S. citizen, you will be deported, denied re-entry and naturalization. Did you understand? Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived her right to jury trial. Did you review the plea bargain page in each of these cause numbers with your attorney? Did you understand them? According to the plea in each cause number, state is requesting that your punishment be assessed at 10 months in the state jail facility. There's $1,000 fine. There's $180 restitution to DPS for drug testing. The cases will run concurrently and also run concurrently with 725341. The state will take in consideration 2025 CC 017066 and 2025 CR 003202. Did you understand that to be the plea? Defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
State?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you review the waiver of appeal paragraph with your attorney? In each cause numbers, did you understand it and sign it in both places? By signing that, you're waiving your right to appeal. The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand? Counsel, have there been any such motions?
Yeah.
Then in cause number 2024 CR 0431, how do you plead? And cause number 2025 CR 003199, how do you plead? State any evidence.
Yes, Your Honor.
In each of the cause numbers, did you review the waiver and stipulations with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it in all the appropriate places? Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial? Off the record for a moment. In each cause number, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call and the right to remain silent? Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports? But most importantly, there'll be no live testimony. Did you understand? Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments, and the court will review the same. And cause number 2025 CR 003199, the court will find that there's sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and the court will find you guilty. Are you proceeding with sentencing in that cause number? And that cause number, then the court will sentence you to 10 months in the state jail facility. Give credit for any time served. There's $1,000 fine. Time and money will run concurrently. This will run concurrent with DC 2024 CR 0431. Take in consideration 2025 CC 017066 and 2025 CR 003202. And there's to be no residing in households with minors. And I'll recommend the therapeutic community. And that cause number, did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it? All right. And that cause number, because this is plea bargain agreement, because I followed your agreement and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand? Then in cause number 2024 CR 0431, court will find there's sufficient evidence to find you guilty and the court will find you guilty. Are we proceeding with sentencing under that cause number? And that cause number, the court will sentence you to 10 months in the state jail facility, give you credit for any time served. There's $1,000 fine. Time and money will run concurrently. This will run concurrent with 2025 CR 003199 and 725341. There's restitution of $180 to DPS. There's to be no residing in households with minors. And I'll recommend the therapeutic community. Did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it? Because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question of what that is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand? All right, we can go off the record. Here's the thing. If you don't change your life, you're either going to end up in somebody's jail or prison, or somebody's going to end up identifying your body. You need to get a handle on your sobriety. If for some reason you can't find a sober living facility or you can't find somebody to help, if I'm still here, you come back here, I will pick up the phone, call somebody to help you. All right. All right. Good luck to you. You're welcome. Who's here on Brandon Garcia? Court is calling 2025 CR 013476 State versus Brandon Garcia. Did I have parties announced? Probation, this is an application. Counsel, have you received all discovery? Did you review it with your client? Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Mr. Garcia, did you review the application entitled Deferred Adjudication or Community Supervision with your attorney? Did you understand it? Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment? Yes, we do.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented? Mr. Garcia, did you review the document entitled Court Admonishments with your attorney? Did you understand it, sign it in all the appropriate places? You're charged with terroristic threat or impersonating a public servant or placing the public in fear as a third-degree felony. The range of punishment is anywhere from 2 to 10 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine. If you have a plea with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea.
If for some reason the court does not follow your plea and give you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand? You have a right to jury trial, a right for your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses. The state will call in the right to remain silent. By entering this plea, you're giving up those rights. Did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea in this case? Did you understand if the court were to grant your application for deferred adjudication, if for any reason your deferred adjudication were revoked, the court could find you guilty and sentence you up to 10 years in the prison and up to a $10,000 fine?
That's exotic.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
Yes, he has.
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
Yes, he does.
Do you believe he's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
Yes, he is.
Sir, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter this plea? Anyone promised you anything other than the plea? Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented? If you're not a U.S. citizen, you will be deported, denied naturalization, and re-entry. Did you understand? Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial. Did you review the plea bargain page with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
According to the plea, punishment is to be assessed at a $1,200 fine. State recommends deferred adjudication. Did you understand that to be the plea? Defense?
Yes.
State?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you review the waiver of appeal paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it in both places? By signing that you're waiving your right to appeal, the only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand? Have there been any such motions?
No, Your Honor.
Outside the agreement, the state is recommending that your deferred adjudication be for a term of 5 years. There be a TAP evaluation, 120 hours of community service restitution, no contact with Jack in the Box, Annette Badeo or Joseph Martinez, no firearms, MRT, and mental health evaluation. Did you understand those were recommendations by the state and the court does not have to follow those recommendations? Then to the offenses charged, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest? State, any evidence?
No objection.
All right, state, have you spoken with the complainants?
Yes, I have.
All right, thank you. You may be excused. Did you review the waiver and stipulations with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it in all the appropriate places? Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call and the right to remain silent? Did you understand that the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports, but most importantly, there'll be no live testimony? Did you understand? Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments and review the same. All right, after reviewing states exhibits 1 and attachments, the court will find there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty. The court will defer finding of guilt as you've applied for deferred adjudication. Having a bad day at work? So what happened?
I'm kind of dad from dad, but I decided to get a job. I just work. I work at Jack. I work the night shifts, so I get out at 5, 6 in the morning. My mom will go to work. I have to stay up with my kids still, so I really wouldn't get that much sleep. So I was going off for like maybe sleep. I don't know. I just something just snapped at me that day.
Well, I mean, you walked in, you gave your shirt, you quit. Why would you call?
Yeah, it was to, I worked with other friends and he was just popping off. And that, of course, he understands the seriousness that words do matter.
Yeah.
But he understands the gravity of his contact.
Well, here's the thing. Your chances of buying food at Jack in the Box in San Antonio is over. So you're gonna have to pick some other place. How old are your children? All right. And you all live together? All right, the court will sentence you to 6 years deferred adjudication, regular reporting by Zoom or in person, regular random UAs, $1,200 fine that will be probated, 120 hours of community service restitution, The court will deduct 60 hours upon completion of parenting classes. The remaining 60 hours will be deducted upon completion of the MRT. There's to be no contact with Jack in the Box, no contact with Annette Badillo, Badillo, or Joseph Martinez. Field visits one time per month until further notice. Have you had any type of mental health issues in the past? Ever been diagnosed with anything? All right, we can do the MIC evaluation out of custody. You're on probation. You're not allowed to possess firearms. Is there anything else?
Sure.
Is there anything else you need from the court to be successful? All right, did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it? Because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed the plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand? All right, we can go off the record, and Cindy, you can take a break. I know you've been over there. Go it away. Yes.
There was approval of 145 days.
Oh, thank you. You have to get employment within 45 days, no employment as a home health care provider with minors. Thank you. Thank you, Cindy. And just let me know when you want to come back, but it has to be today. All right, so in this court, communication is key to be successful on probation. Don't disappear. If there are issues, if you're having mental health issues, because Christmas time and all of these holidays, it's very stressful because people want to make it perfect. When really, if you're celebrating Christmas, that's really not what it's supposed to be about, but people have made it about the gifts. So if you see stressors, you can contact probation, or either you can go online and contact NAMI, NAMI. They have a free hotline you can call just to discuss things. All right, good luck to you. Thank you. You're welcome. Oh, probation. Are you a gang member? What's with the LV? All right, do a gang evaluation as well. All right, thank you. Nobody loves Louis Vuitton that much.
Yeah, me too. I like it a lot.
Oh, you want to hear something hilarious? Yes, we're ready.
Right, jury.
Please do. You'll put that somewhere. It's for the court reporter to hear. All right, everyone, please be seated. And defense, you may call your next witness.
Defense calls Mindy Romero.
All right, could you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up so everyone can hear. And if you could state your name and spell your last name.
Mindy Romero, Romero.
All right, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. And Mindy, I'm sorry because I was forgetting your last name because it changed, didn't it?
Since the incident, I met my husband about 5 days later.
All right. So how do you know Jesse Prado?
I am the person who bought the model home in the community, and I was one of the first residents, and we have a very small community, and he's one of the neighbors in the community.
And I don't know if it's actually been established. What is this neighborhood called? Is that the name?
Escalara,
Scholar. Okay.
yes.
And so,
My best friend lives like 2 doors down.
so you're familiar with pretty much everybody in the neighborhood. Is that fair?
Yes.
And what do you do particularly for a living?
I'm a realtor, loan officer. I teach agents. I do a lot, but mostly predominantly I'm the realtor.
And when you had moved into this neighborhood, was that also what you were doing at the time?
Yes.
And as a realtor, as the person who bought the model home, as people started to move into the neighborhood, did you get to know pretty much everybody, including Jesse?
What was really cool is we have a Facebook group and it's very active. It's actually the most active Facebook group I've seen in any of my neighborhoods. I'm from Dallas and I moved here. And it was really nice to be welcomed by so many people and get to know them through that. You know, when packages go missing, trash cans, different things, we all would help each other out.
And do you remember specifically when Jesse and his family moved into the neighborhood?
Yeah, I believe it was 18 or 19.
Okay.
I think I was 18 and then I think they were 19, if I remember correctly.
And-
The 20 at the latest.
Yeah. And their particular street, did they end up, as far as you were aware, becoming close with a lot of their neighbors?
Yes.
And was that pretty typical of this neighborhood?
Yeah, I mean, all of our homes are front entrances. So, you know, we go outside a lot and Jesse had a motorcycle and would drive his girls around on the motorcycle and say hi to all the neighbors. And it was very normal to see him smiling and say hi and interact with us, ask us how we were doing. He always seemed to take a genuine interest in everyone, even before himself, which was very nice, you know? So I always felt like he was just a very kind person.
And was there, you know, a time, we're all aware of it, during 2020 when things kind of shut down and neighborhoods like this were having to come together as far as keeping each other safe, things of that nature?
Mhm.
Are you aware of anything that Jesse did in particular during that time period that stood out to you in particular?
Yeah, I actually wasn't a participant, but with a lot of the neighbors, including him, they were doing what was called a ding dong ditch, where they would take breakfast tacos and big reds sodas, and they would take them to different neighbors' houses and ring the doorbell and then run away. And it was like, hey, I've got your breakfast on the porch. And so he was a part of that. And so what we would do is the rest of us, we would get on our cameras, you know, our Ring cameras, and try to figure out who it was. And then we would kind of reverse engineer, okay, I got this footage. We would do that all on, you know, Facebook and talk to each other. So very, like I said, just I've never been in a community like that before, but it really stood out to me.
And as somebody who was been there from the beginning, were you familiar with like other people in the neighborhood as they came in, Jesse interacting with them?
Mhm.
Like, was that something where what you're describing is that something typical of what Jesse would be like with those people?
Yes.
And do you feel like Jesse had a reputation that you were aware of in the neighborhood as far as being a neighbor goes, just like in general about being a good
He's a
neighbor?
Good neighbor, yes.
Okay.
So my perception was that he was a good neighbor. So although I hadn't met him face to face up front in the very, very beginning before the ding dong ditch and all that stuff. When I did see him out on the motorcycle and I waved and said hi and we interacted, I felt very comfortable with him because I had already knew who he was through Facebook.
Now, I want to turn your attention to why we are here today and ask you, at the time that this happened, the shooting, were you still living in this neighborhood?
I actually rented my house out to my second tenant. He had just moved in.
So you were no longer physically in the neighborhood when this happened?
No, but I believe I was still selling a home on that same street. So his street is Amistad and the other one is Alta Puerta. And I believe I had one under contract around that same time.
So you were still in close contact, connection
Like
with what was
stick
going on?
doors down, yes.
Okay. And do you remember finding out about what happened?
Yes, my tenant called me and said he couldn't get into the neighborhood and that the police had it roped off. Another one of my friends called and said what had happened.
Hearsay. Sorry. So, when anyone raises objection, just stop talking,
okay,
then I'll
fine.
make a ruling.
Okay.
And then if you don't know whether or not you can still answer, just ask me.
Okay.
All right, with regards to hearsay, that objection will be sustained, so you're not allowed to
So-
continue.
So what do I answer?
You're not allowed
Oh,
to
okay.
continue answer. Defense will ask you another question.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So regarding anything anybody else told you specifically, we can't get into that. But you were saying though that you had found out about what had happened. Is that true?
Yeah, as it was happening.
And now I'm sure you're aware as to at least some of the more specifics just from the news stories or whatever. And so you just want to make sure we're clear. You are aware that Jesse has shot 2 police officers and pled guilty in these cases.
Correct.
Now, regarding this neighborhood, you've testified that it was a very close-knit neighborhood, very connected, and that Jesse was part of that. Now, can you tell the members of the jury, what something like this would do to a neighborhood like that, in your opinion?
Well, it makes me obviously very emotional because I know how close he is to his family and how close we are as a community. And we were very shocked because we still are in shock. We don't feel like that's a representation of him. None of us should be judged based on our one worst day, And so I guess that's why I get emotional, because I think how this affects his family,
And you mentioned it came as a shock, and specifically, did it come as a shock to you regarding when you found out that Jesse was the one?
Yeah, for sure.
But you can understand that neighbors who were present and had family present, that obviously this was extremely alarming to them, right? You can understand that. And are you making any excuses for the behavior that Jesse displayed on that day and what he did?
No.
Regarding your testimony here today, were you coming today to testify to justify anything that he did regarding what happened?
No. And I can't speak too much because I just am the neighborhood realtor.
But you know of Jesse's character regarding,
Yes.
reputation regarding
For sure.
that
Mhm.
neighborhood.
Mhm. Do we have a tissue? Ooh, thank you.
You're welcome.
And just before I pass the witness to the state here, you would agree with anyone who says that somebody who shoots 2 police officers deserves to be held accountable for their actions? You would agree with that?
Correct.
And do you think that it's up to the justice system to decide what should happen to Jesse?
Correct.
Thank you. I pass the witness.
State?
Yes, John. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor. Can I get your date of birth, please?
June 3rd, 1982.
You talked about having met Jesse through kind of, or maybe not met, but knew of him through the Facebook page, is that correct?
Through social media, yeah.
Okay. How much personal interaction did you ever have with Jesse?
I mean, if he had a question about his house, I know that it was on the table. He had asked me previously, if I wanted to sell my house, what would that look like? But during that, he would also say, how are you? And how is your family? And, it was never just, hey, what do I do about my house? It was always very kind and friendly as well. So I had talked to him before the incident, directly.
Like one time?
No, I would say probably 5 or 6 different conversations
Okay. so
before that.
then From.
And then in person.
Sorry, I'm gonna kind of circle back. You said that he moved in 2018 or 2019, is that correct?
Right.
Okay. So, you from the time that he moved in 2018 or 2019 to when this happened in 2023, you had maybe 5 conversations with him face to face.
No, 5 or 6 conversations online, and then I've had conversations with him face to face, like when he would be on the bike. But you know, when he's driving around, it's not like you stop him and say, hey,
Okay.
let's have a long conversation, but it's an interaction.
So it was just more of a friendly neighbor passing by situation.
Correct.
So you wouldn't share dinners together.
No,
You wouldn't socialize with your significant others and your children.
I don't think it's appropriate as a realtor to do that with anyone.
Okay, so, and I understand that. My point is just though that it was a cordial, acquaintance situation. It was not a close friend relationship
Correct.
situation.
Correct.
Okay, so everything that you're able to tell the jury about his character, his kindness, his friendliness is based on an arm's length.
Correct. As someone in the community.
Sure.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't have more. It makes me feel bad that I didn't spend more time getting to know him before.
It's not your fault. We just need the jury to understand where your frame of knowledge is coming from.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you were not living in the neighborhood when this happened, correct?
No. Mm-mm.
Did you have any conversations with any of the people that were living in the neighborhood when it happened, after it happened?
While it was happening, the neighbor that bought the house on the street I was mentioning earlier, Amistad Pass, I'm sorry, Alta Puerta, the buyer who was not my client, he had reached out to me and said, what's going on? You
Objection,
know.
Your Honor. At this point, because it was objected by the state, I'm also
Yeah.
going to object to hearsay.
I apologize. I'm really bad at.
All right, so everyone. Objections will be made. I will hear the objections. I will make up my ruling. We will not be talking over each other. Ask your next question.
So I'm not asking you, what anybody said, I'm just asking if there were conversations about what happened, with other people who live in the neighborhood after it happened. Just yes or no, were there conversations?
Yes.
Okay, and did you get a sense of shock or fear from the other residents who talked about what happened?
They basically shared that they were surprised and they didn't think that, like, they wanted to verify that it really was him because it just doesn't make sense.
Do you have children?
Unfortunately, no. I've had several miscarriages.
I'm very sorry. Do you have nieces or nephews or young children that you've ever been close to?
I'm the oldest of 10 that I helped raise.
So, okay, so you have a motherly understanding
Yes.
of what it takes to raise kids. I guess I'm just asking if you could put yourself in the shoes of the people who live in that neighborhood while their children were out running in the streets, playing in what they thought was a safe environment, to be completely dumbfounded by the sound of gunfire.
Mhm.
Can you imagine how fearful that those residents would be?
Of course, we all were very fearful, and we were actually very grateful to God that several of them weren't even home. You know, everything, they were protected that night.
Sure. And how much do you know about what Jesse actually did that day?
I don't have the full scope of what happened. I just know that gunshots were shot, a police officer or 2 were hurt. There was blood on the street for several days. I know that we were all just scrambling for any information that we could have, but at the end of the day, you know, that's all I really know.
Sure. So did you see the giant pool of blood in the cul-de-sac yourself?
I feel like by the time I got there, it was just stains, but it wasn't the big pool of blood, no.
Okay.
And I saw the house inside and outside with the bullet holes, because the original goal was for me to list his house, and fix it and everything.
Did you know that when he chose to open fire on these officers, his own 2 daughters were still out in the street?
No, I wasn't aware of that.
Does that shock you?
I mean, I don't know why my opinion matters on that.
Well, the defense brought you here to tell the jury your opinion about the defendant, so I'm asking you.
And my opinion is, of all of the times that I've interacted with him on that particular day, I don't have any knowledge of any of that, so I don't know. I can't really be of any help.
Well, just generally, to hear that a person shot an AR-15 in the same direction of their children, is that shocking?
I object to misstates the evidence, Judge.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Misstates the evidence.
All right, that'll be overruled.
Am I supposed to answer? I'm sorry.
Yes, you can
Okay.
answer.
I mean, obviously, it would be shocking if you were to put your children in any harm's way, I think is what you're trying to get at.
Did you know that prior to this incident happening, he had slapped his wife?
I have no knowledge of any domestic violence or anything that has gone on.
I understand, and that's kind of my point. You didn't know that he slapped his wife. I'm assuming you didn't know that he threatened and tried to burn the house down before this happened, is that correct?
I was aware that there was a threat of the house being burned down, yes.
Did you know that he had been threatening that for the better part of a year?
No, I don't have all the information on that. Again, I'm only here to speak to how he was in the community.
And you didn't know that he threatened to hold a gun to his children's heads if his wife didn't tell them where her paramour lived.
I don't know what that means. Her paramour?
The person she had an affair with.
Oh, okay. I'm not aware of any of this. Again, I mean, you can keep asking me questions about those things, but I'm not going to be able to answer any because I wouldn't know.
Okay.
Again, I'm at arm's distance. How would I know anything about that?
Exactly, is my point. You don't have much personal information as to Mr. Prado's character to be able to tell the jury what kind of a person he is to you.
But weren't you asking me about how the community felt? And as a community, we were shocked.
That was one.
So as a community, as someone who's arm's distance in the community, we were shocked. It's not like everyone goes out and tells about their domestic violence on the street.
Sure.
Okay, and as a person, a victim of that myself, that hits pretty close to home. But I also know that we're not judged by our very worst day in our whole entire life.
Sure. Are you a supporter of law enforcement?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
My stepfather is a police officer in Rockwall.
Oh, really? What's his name?
So Benjamin Woodruff.
I used to be a cop. So, given that you are close to a law enforcement officer, if this had happened to him, if somebody that you didn't know unjustifiably and intentionally shot at them and nearly killed him, you would want justice for him, wouldn't you?
I've actually talked with him about it and we would say we'd want justice because it doesn't excuse it, but he wouldn't want him to be thrown in jail for the rest of his life. I mean,
Well, that
and if you know my stepfather, you know he's a very fair person.
And again, this was just hypothetical, but you understand that the people that Jesse shot is not your stepfather. They are two different people who have their own personal preferences on what happens here. You understand that, right?
I can't speak to what they would feel or think.
Sure. You said that you got really emotional when you were talking about this because you worry about him and his family. Have you considered the family of the officers who he nearly killed?
Of course, and that's why it's so upsetting. The whole thing is upsetting. There's no denying that.
Nothing further on.
Briefly, Judge. Mr. Miro, do you think the best suited people to decide Jesse's fate are the 12 members of this jury who have heard all of the evidence and all the different perspectives from both sides?
Of course.
Pass witness.
Nothing further.
All right. The rule has been invoked. You're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone until this trial has concluded. Do you understand?
Yes. Sir.
All right, thank you. You may step down. Defense, call your next witness.
We call Dara Salazar.
All right, if you'll take a seat here, please. And that little square gray microphone, if you put that somewhere in your blazer. It's for the court reporter to hear. And if you'll raise your right hand, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can lower your hand, just keep your voice up so everyone can hear. And if you'll state your name for the record.
Dara Salazar, Dara, and Salazar, Salazar.
All right, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Dara. Now you don't know Jesse Prado, uh, person to my left, do you?
No.
Okay, what is your job?
So I am currently a court liaison officer with Bear County Community Supervision and Corrections Department, also known as Bear County Adult Probation.
All right, and so basically the CLO is the probation officer that manages probationers in a court. Is that correct?
Yes, we don't manage, we're like the liaison between probation and the courts. So we're just that middle man between the two.
Right, I guess what that means is so you don't have probationers under your watch
Correct.
like a regular probation officer out in the field, but when probationers have to deal with the court, you're involved in the court system and getting them where they need to be in the court system.
Correct, yes.
All right, so that just means that you have a lot of information about probation in felony courts, and you're currently assigned to a felony court here in this courthouse, right?
Yes, I'm currently assigned to the 399th and I've been a probation officer for 6 years.
All right, now the charge of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon against a public servant is a first-degree felony where a person, if they are eligible, could get probation theoretically. Is that your understanding of the laws on that offense?
Yes, I've seen aggravated assault cases granted probation.
Okay, and well, that was my next question. As a CLO of a felony court, you know that there are people on probation for aggravated assault on a public servant.
Sustained.
Dara, okay. As a CLO, you know that if a person is not a convicted felon, that they can get probation from a jury on an aggravated assault charge against a public servant. You're aware of that, correct?
Yes.
All right. Some of the questions I wanted to ask you is just, I want the jury to understand what's involved with probation so they know exactly what a person gets when they get a probated sentence. Is there a long list of conditions of probation?
Yes. I don't know if you have the sheet, but the conditions of probation vary from each defendant. Ultimately, it is up to the judge to decide what conditions are ordered, but everyone that is on probation has standard conditions that they have to abide by. No matter the type of case, everyone who is granted probation has to abide by a set of standard conditions, and then the judge would then order the specialized conditions where the judge can order a range of different types of conditions, programs, and treatment options.
Okay, so like just for example, to kind of go through some of these things, like condition number one is that basically if you're on probation, you are prohibited from committing new crimes, getting in trouble like that. That's kind of like where you start very basically, right?
Yes, that would be a standard condition. You can't commit new offenses while being on probation.
They have one, and I guess it uses some old language, but avoid vicious habits. That's basically you can't be using drugs or alcohol when you're on probation. Is that correct?
Yes, you can't be using drugs or alcohol, and we do drug testing, and you must submit to drug testing as instructed.
When people are on probation, there's generally a condition that they have to be gainfully employed and they have to be productive in their life.
Yes, so that is condition number 3, obtain and keep lawful employment. Lawful is the key word, lawful employment. So they can't be making up their own jobs. It has to be lawfully employment.
All right, so there's also reporting. You have to stay in touch and you have to follow the instructions of your assigned probation officer as far as information, reporting when told, getting the information and documentation of whatever is required of your probation.
Yes, reporting, no matter the type of case, everyone has to report and keep those appointments with their probation officer.
All right, is there generally a condition that a probation officer, if they have any concerns, can go do a home check where your probation officer can go to your home and check to make sure you're complying with all the rules and regulations?
Yes, so I've seen some judges order that as a condition. It could be, depending on the judge's ruling, the judge could order like monthly field visits for such amount of time. Or it could just be a random field visit, which everyone who's on probation is subject to a field visit. So when our field unit goes out to conduct a search, it is that probationer's responsibility to let the field officers into their home to conduct the search.
And to kind of just make a clarifying point, the judge who controls every one of these conditions is the judge of whatever court a person is assigned to. Is that correct?
Yes,
So like if a case came out of the 187th, Judge Boyd is the judge who controls all the conditions that we're talking about.
yes,
You do have rules about having to stay in Bear County and not leaving unless you have specific permission.
yes. I believe 6 or 7, you must stay inside Bear County, the Bear County. If you're going to be traveling, need to let your probation officer know so you can obtain a travel permit, as well as if you're going to be traveling outside of the state, that has to be approved by the judge. So any travel outside the state of Texas, the judge ultimately decides on if they can travel or not.
All right. In regards to like dependents, there is a probation condition that requires a probationer to support their dependents.
Yes,
Now, if a person violates any of these rules, and there's a lot more that we can talk about, they can be brought to court because the court, if they feel it is necessary and just, can always send somebody to prison for violating any of these rules of probation. And they can get sent to prison to whatever prison term they have, correct?
yes. Probation is just there to supervise the defendant. The judge is the one that does the revoking. The court does the court system. The probation is just there to supervise and ensure that the defendant maintains his compliance while on probation.
Okay, and like probation has a lot of more intense components that the judge has the possibility of putting on somebody. Would you realize, well, let me go through some of them. Like a person can be on house arrest or a person can be monitored. Are there systems that monitor where a person is 24/7 if the judge deems that necessary?
Yes, so we do have the GPS tracking, and if the judge orders that the defendant be on full house arrest, that is something that probation can monitor and make sure that they're not leaving. They're following the court's order on the GPS.
Like the main categories of that, okay, so if a person has a device, tracking only would mean that the system just monitors where they are 24/7 every day, but they have the freedom to go about their business as long as it follows conditions of probation, right? That's
Yeah.
tracking only.
Yes,
All right, then there's some where it's partial house arrest, where normally a person has access to go to work or maybe church, but they have limited freedom, where when they're not doing basic responsibility things, they're supposed to stay at their house.
yes,
And then I guess the most strict one is when you're on full house arrest, you have to stay in your home only and you can't leave the house without specific permission, but there's no specific permission for anything when you're on full house arrest.
yes, that's correct.
Now a big part of probation is to try to rehabilitate people, right?
Yes,
I mean, is it one of the goals for probation to help people get on the right track and not commit crimes in the future?
yes. Probation, we want to rehabilitate. If a person is granted probation, that everyone gets a case plan that is unique to their needs. So they'll do a full assessment, and depending on their need at that interview, that's where probation, we create a game plan, a case plan for them to help in their needs at that time.
Okay, as a CLO, you do have personal knowledge that there are people on probation for this charge in Bear County, correct? Judge, I think that is relevant. I mean, if a person is legally authorized,
Approach.
but there are a lot of issues with probation deal with substance abuse, right? There's a lot of programs for substance abuse because that is probably percentage wise one of the biggest problems probationers have. Would you agree with that?
I would agree. I would agree in some that yes, substance abuse is linked to a lot of these defendants.
Okay, now, but outside of that, you'll also have a big program that keeps growing where probation is helping people with mental health issues.
Yes.
What are some of the organizations that probation and courts use to help people that may have had some kind of mental break in their life?
So if a mental health is ordered as a condition of probation, the individual will undergo the mental health initiative, which consists of 2 interviews to see if they meet criteria for the mentally impaired caseload, which is our partnership with Center for Healthcare Services at the Palo Alto location. So basically, that individual will have a caseworker in mental health, as well as a mental health probation officer, and it's a link partnership. Then we have DDRF, which is the inpatient program, dual diagnosis residential facility, that helps the individual inpatient. It's like a more intense, structured treatment versus the outpatient program that we have. Then we also have an access program where if the defendant doesn't meet criteria for either of the 2, we can send them a referral to Center for Healthcare Services for that access program. But all we can do is send the referral. It's up to the defendant to apply themselves and go through that program.
Okay, thank you. Now, is there also area for moral recognition therapy? Like, can you tell the jury what that is or what that entails?
So that's going to be a cognitive-based treatment, outpatient treatment. It's a class. It depends on the length, depending on the provider, but ultimately it will help the defendant's decision-making and thinking errors. And it's a class, outpatient class that they'll have to attend.
Okay, so these conditions that we've discussed, I guess we haven't even discussed the power the judge has to have somebody sit in jail for up to 180 days for no reason whatsoever. Like a district court judge can have somebody serve 180 days extra no matter what. That's your understanding, right?
Sustained.
All right. Let me rephrase it. How long can a judge have a person sit in jail as a condition of probation on a felony?
180 days.
And that's completely up to the discretion of the judge.
Yes, the judge controls the length of the jail sanction condition.
Now, if a person is being monitored, you can also have them on ISP. What is ISP?
That's going to be the intermediate sanctions program, which is basically the high-risk caseload. So that entails a more strict supervision. They'll have frequent reporting and frequent home visits.
And a lot of times that also usually includes like weekly reporting versus monthly reporting.
Yes, and also we will be contacting their associates, so who they associate with, to make sure that they're surrounding themselves with a good support system.
As a CLO, I mean, y'all have programs for anybody who ends up with probation on your caseload. Is that fair to say? I mean, you have programs for everybody.
Yes.
Admittedly, too, on serious cases, y'all have monitoring programs where if somebody steps out of line just a little bit, there are programs where you would find out virtually immediately. Like electronic monitoring would be, I guess, the best example.
The GPS monitoring, the probation officer will get notified immediately or within a close time frame of violation.
And admittedly, with other things like, you know, appointments, if you miss appointments, a report gets created for events like that, correct?
Yes.
I mean, basically, being on probation does not have to be easy. There's a lot of things that could be done to make sure that a person is walking the line completely straight with no violations on anything, especially if the probation gets labeled as one of the intensive supervision ones.
Are you asking me if I think probation's easy?
Well, can it be tough as far as conditions go?
Yes, yes,
And generally, the more serious the probation, the more serious the conditions. Would you agree that a serious felony probation is generally different than a misdemeanor shoplifting probation?
yes, depending on the offense. Yes,
Now, the way probation works, if a person violates conditions of probation, that goes to the judge, and then a judge decides whether we're going to file a motion to revoke the probation, or I guess they could do different kinds of sanctions or other actions. But I guess it's most common when there's true violations, y'all submit a motion to revoke probation to the court for their consideration.
yes. If a probationer is not complying with their conditions, the court will be notified immediately of those violations, and the defendant will have to come back to court and answer to the judge, and the judge will decide whether or not to continue the probationer or send the probationer to prison.
How long can a felony probation be?
10 years on deferred, that's the max, 10 years.
And
Then
then
it
if
could
it's
get
regular probation, is it 10 years as
10
well?
years, yeah.
All right. And the underlying sentence for probation, the maximum that can be is 10 years as well. Is that your understanding?
Yes.
All right, I'll pass the witness.
Good afternoon, Vera.
I may.
So you do not know the defendant in this case, correct?
No,
And you've not conducted interviews with him or anything like that, correct?
no,
Okay, and so you're not in a position to give an opinion as to whether he'd be a suitable candidate or not for probation, correct?
correct.
And even as a CLO or a probation officer, really, you guys can't give an opinion as to whether somebody's gonna be suitable for probation or not, right?
Correct.
And most of the times when you receive probationers, you're not akin to the facts or circumstances surrounding their cases. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And so when we're talking about the long list of conditions, I think you previously stated that really it's up to the judge to decide what those conditions, correct?
Correct.
And so when we're talking, well, one, we talked about a GPS monitor. And so there's 3 different types, right? Full GPS, partial, or tracking only, correct?
Yes.
But there is, regarding GPS monitors, that's something that's placed on the defendant's ankle, correct?
Yes. And I forgot to add, the defendant will have to pay for that device.
Correct. And so regarding the GPS monitor, there are instances where defendants can cut that off or tamper with it, correct?
Yes.
And then probation's made aware of that, but once it's tampered with, you're unable to determine where the defendant is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then when we're talking about substance abuse, typically on probation, if a person is placed on probation, they undergo something called a TAP evaluation. Is that your understanding?
Yes.
And that's kind of a screening to determine whether they have substance abuse issues, right?
Yes.
And typically in a TAP evaluation, it's kind of dependent on self-reporting, a history of drug abuse, correct?
Yes, the TAP is 100% self-report.
Okay, and so if there's been no testimony in this trial, or what people that know the defendant have never known him to use illicit substances, then that's not a condition that would be suitable or enforceable against him, right?
No.
Right, because if somebody goes to a TAP evaluation and says, well, no, I've never done drugs or suffered with alcohol, then it's just gonna get closed out, right? There's not gonna be any like classes or inpatient treatment for that issue, right?
So typically the judge would say TAP and follow recommendations. And if the TAP evaluation comes back with It will never come back with no recommendation. There will always be a recommendation as far as like monthly drug testing or sober support meetings. There is always going to be a recommendation on that TAP evaluation. But as far as like outpatient or inpatient, if he self-reports no substance abuse, then he'll just have to follow the other recommendations.
Okay. And then also when we're talking about the mental health initiative, you did mention DDRF, is that correct?
Yes.
And that's kind of a residential treatment for people that suffer from mental health issues, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and when you undergo, I guess, is it the Tacoma evaluation that you do?
So it will be 2 evaluations. It'll be our screening with probation with our LCDC. And then it will be, if she deems eligibility for DDRF, then she will send the referral to Takumi.
Okay, and so I guess that's kind of what I was getting at, because DDRF is kind of, you have to fall in the sweet spot to be eligible for DDRF, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and so because we don't have any screenings or anything regarding the defendant, we don't know if that's something that would even be suitable for him, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then there was mention about moral recognition therapy. I know you stated that the classes kind of differ, but I mean, typically that's just like a 16 class or 16 session course that defendants take to target their behavioral issues, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then when we are talking about conditions of probation, you would agree with me that on cases that involve actual victims, the most important condition that we see in our jobs is a no contact order with the victims, correct?
Yes.
And so in this case, knowing that the victims are police officers, or I'm sorry, I'm not sure you knew that, but in this case, the victims are 2 San Antonio Police Department officers. And so that's something that's kind of hard to enforce. You would agree with me, right?
Yes.
If both police officers are back out on duty, right?
I mean, yes, but I have seen it before, not with officers, but with like different cases, family members especially, and they're just advised to run the opposite direction. Don't associate with that individual, but I haven't really seen it with police officers.
Because if we think about it logically, right? Knowing that these 2 police officers are back on force. If there's an instance where, like you said, as part of probation, a defendant cannot pick up a new offense, correct? So let's say there's some type of domestic dispute going on with the defendant and police officers are dispatched to his location. There's a very big chance that because these police officers chose to protect and serve our community, they're gonna get dispatched to the defendant's residence, and then what are we to do about that, right?
Yeah.
And then regarding another big condition of probation is no firearms, correct? But you would agree with me that probation, we have a great probation department here in York County, but you guys do have limited resources, correct? And so, oh, go ahead.
So no, I was just thinking in my head.
So yes or no?
I agree, we are a great department. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, but you are a great department, I agree, but you do have limited resources, right?
Resources regarding like,
Regarding like supervising the defendant. So I guess let me give you some kind of context. So regarding no firearms, right? So you stated that, field visits can be ordered, correct?
yes,
But there's no way that a probation officer can go and do a field visit at the defendant's house every day to ensure that he's not in possession of firearms, right?
we can't go every day.
And then another big thing with probation is that even though the defendant would be ordered to report to a probation officer, there's no way that we can ensure this jury that he's going to abide by those terms, correct?
Yeah. Probation is there to monitor the defendant and ensure that he is complying with his conditions. We're just there to supervise.
And
Yeah.
so when we're talking about a motion to revoke probation, right, like you said, if the defendant violated the probation, a motion would be submitted to the court. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, and so when we're talking about that, most times that requires the state to prove the allegations against the defendant, correct?
yes,
And so the state would have to call witnesses, right? The
yes.
state would have to call the probation officer and have them testify as to the defendant's non-compliance with probation, right?
The state, it's ultimately up to the state to prove the allegations that are on the MTR. And if they prove those allegations, then, and judge finds it true, then judge decides the punishment.
And one of the biggest ways that we get people in front of us is because they abscond from probation, correct?
Yes,
And so when we're talking about a defendant violating his probation, he could be ordered to submit to you like a urinalysis test, maybe once or twice per month, right?
yes,
Depending on what the judge said.
yes,
And so there's a possibility that, he could miss up to 6 urinalysis before a motion is even filed, depending on the officer, right?
depending on the officer, but also the judge. If the judge says after one violation, inform the court, then the probation department and that officer is going to inform the court based on the judge's orders.
And I mean, ultimately, like we said, there is a big risk of people absconding from probation.
I would say, I don't know, people abscond probation every day. So but those are, it just depends. Some of those people have had 10 MTRs before. Some, they just don't want to be on probation anymore. Some forget they're on probation. It just depends their reason for not reporting, but people do abscond.
Okay, and in cases where people do abscond, I mean, once the motion to revoke is filed, then it's really up to the police department to go and execute that warrant, is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay, and in some instances, that can take multiple years before the defendant ends up in court again, right?
yes. Because they abscond, they're on the run until they get picked up or they turn themselves in.
You pass away.
Just a couple of follow-up questions. Dara, they talked about the no contact order. Okay, no contact orders are common in probation case if there's a victim, right?
Yes,
Okay, so, I mean, if there was a police officer victim, there would be and there was a no contact order. That generally means, okay, you can't go by their house or where they work. Like if they're at a substation, they say stay away from the substation. If there was a coincidence, because coincidental encounters can happen in the world that are not intentional violations of probation, right?
yes,
Like for instance, if I had a no contact order with somebody, they're working at Whataburger in the drive-through and I don't know it, and I'm just ordering a Whataburger and I see the person. In that circumstance where you don't intentionally contact somebody, all you're supposed to do is just like immediately leave. Once you see, oh, I'm not supposed to have contact with this person. The rule is in that circumstance, you leave because you can't have contact. And if it's accidental, that's not an intentional violation, right?
yes,
Okay, so you could deal with a no contact order with police officers. If somebody comes knocking on their door because of a barking violation and you entered the door and it's somebody you're supposed to have no contact with, in that very unlikely circumstance, basically you're supposed to say, I have a no contact order. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, you want me to close the door? Do you want to send somebody else? Like, that's what they're supposed to do, right?
yeah,
But it would have to be one of several thousand police officers in Bexar County responding to one particular call for whatever violation. It's not very likely as what you know as a CLO, right?
Sustained.
Okay. But that would, like, in that very rare circumstance, that's what you would have to do, right?
yeah. We advise the probationers, no contact means no contact, actively seeking contact.
Okay, now regarding the warrant, I mean, a lot of probationers are successful, right?
Yes,
Okay, there are some that run,
Yeah.
right? Now, would you also agree that the bigger the case, some warrants get handled by the warrant task force, where there's people if there's a big case or the judge orders the warrant task force, like, go find this guy, there is a special police force whose only job it is to find fugitives, right?
Yes,
Is that something y'all have access to if the judge orders a person to be specifically looked for?
we do.
Now, would you agree, like on small misdemeanor probation, sometimes that doesn't happen? Like if a shoplifting suspect doesn't show up, they're usually not going to send the felony warrant goon squad after them for something minor like that. But if it's a big case, they usually will, wouldn't you?
Oh. If it's a big case, we do have access to the warrant task force. I don't know the criteria on when they utilize them, but I know it's available.
Okay. And just to kind of finish up, for people that are on probation, I mean, you don't want them to fail, you want them to succeed, right?
Yes,
But if they do fail, there are a lot of rules and procedures to have them arrested and have them brought before the judge of the court they're assigned to, right?
yes.
Okay, those are all my questions. Thank you, Darren.
State. All right. The rule, the rule has been invoked. You're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone until this trial has concluded or view anything about the trial.
Okay, Judge,
Thank
have
you.
a good day.
You too. Thank you. All right, defense, call your next witness.
Get him, Judge. Our next witness is Deputy Soriano.
Okay. While he's coming in, can I have parties approach? Would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand. There's a square microphone up there. If you could place it somewhere, either on your time. If you'll state your name for the record, please.
Deputy Soriano.
All right, just keep your voice up so everyone can hear. Defense, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Deputy, where is your current employment?
Bexar County Sheriff's Detention Center, sir.
Okay, what are your job duties for the sheriff right now?
Right now, I'm a detention officer and I work at the detention mental health evaluation team as well.
Okay, how long have you been working for the sheriff's department?
For 2 years, 2 months.
All right, now, I did subpoena you to give testimony at this case, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you contacted me and I had inquired whether you know the gentleman to my left, Jesse Prado. Technically, his name is Jesus. He goes by Jesse. Do you know who the person is to my left?
Yes, sir.
All right, who is that?
He was one of the inmates that were in my 5-a-day unit when I was there at the detention center.
Okay, so describe the unit that you're talking about. Which unit is it?
So it was unit Bravo Delta and Charlie Delta. It was a capital murder high bonder unit there at the detention center.
Okay, so basically, if a person has significant charges,
Significant charges or high bond, they're put in that unit.
okay, and is that the unit that's called administrative segregation?
Yes, sir.
Now I know they have an abbreviation that's ADSEG, but what does that mean as to where Jesse has been housed since he's been arrested?
So they are housed for 23 hours a day. They're allowed 1 day room hour per day and a rotation.
Okay, and so he's basically got put in this unit because the nature of the charges were high, and then additionally, because his bonds were $1 million each, he got assigned to this part of the jail just because of those two reasons, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, so even if you have no criminal history, that's where you get assigned when those are your circumstances, correct?
Due to qualification, yes, sir.
Okay, so I want to inquire just a little bit about how rough it is to be in that part of the jail. Is that a small percentage of the jail population that has the to be in that area, the ad seg unit?
It's one of 3 units that are part of the administrative segregation units. Yes, sir.
Okay, and so like how many people can each unit hold?
It's up to, I want to say in that particular unit, about 88 people.
Okay. Do you know ballpark how many people are in the jail at any given time?
No, sir.
I mean, it's thousands, right?
It's 1,000 changes every day, so I wouldn't be able to give you a ballpark range.
But most everybody is kind of in general population. The administrative segregation unit is a smaller segment and it's mostly controlled by your bonds and the charge, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now the difference between the two is great, isn't it? That as far as how much more restrictive is administrative segregation versus general population?
Much more restricted, yes, sir.
Okay, so in general population, you get to hang out in a pod and have access to TVs and reading material for parts of the day.
Yes, sir.
In administrative segregation, are you in your cell 23 hours out of 24 hours every single day?
Yes, sir.
Now, unit wise, 2 people can be fit into one of those units, right? Like you could have 2 inmates in one cell in administrative
sir.
segregation, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, for how long did you monitor Jesse in administrative segregation over the last 2 years?
I was there a year and a half, off and on, due to either training other people that were new deputies that were coming in, or just different scheduling wise, who picked up for overtime or stuff like that. But for the most part, a year and a half.
Okay, and so as part of your job duties, you've dealt with Jesse for a year and a half as an inmate in this administrative segregation unit of the Bexar County Jail.
Yes, sir.
Because he's been in that segment, that unit, the entire time he's been there since he got arrested, correct?
Correct.
All right. Would you agree with me that that unit tends to have more troublemakers than general population?
Yes, sir.
And is that in large part because it does involve more serious offenses? That's one reason.
Yes, sir.
I guess longtime troublemakers can also have high bonds as well. That could be another reason.
Yes, sir, as well.
Does a person being in well, the cells are small, right? I mean, okay, these cells have a bunk bed, right?
1 to 2, yes, sir.
Okay, and they have a toilet and they have a small desk. Is that basically what's in the cell?
That's correct, yes, sir.
And they're not big. They're not like a bedroom. They're just there's room for the toilet, the desk, and the bed, and there's just a few feet of space otherwise. Would you agree with that?
Correct, yes, sir.
And when you're put yourself in a position where this is your unit, 23 out of 24 hours, you're in that small cell, potentially with somebody else who's got similar kind of issues as you, right?
Correct.
All right. Like over a long period of time, is it common? I mean, in your duties as a peace officer.
Not a peace officer, sir.
I'm sorry, as a jail guard. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Is it common for people that are put under these conditions to have problems with their situation and act up or cause problems?
Object to relevance, Your Honor.
What's the relevancy?
Well, Judge, he has personal knowledge of Jesse. I'm trying to explain to
You can ask him questions about your client.
I'm going to, but I also wanted him to explain the unit and the difficulties that they have with administrative segregation generally, because it is a unit that's filled with problems. And I think that's relevant if a person has none comparatively to what he has to deal with as a person in that unit. And so it's relevant to his conditions. So I want to ask about how the unit works and what
You
makes
can ask
Jesse
about
different.
how the unit works.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do, because,
All right.
well, let me rephrase. Deputy, are there a lot of strict rules as a jail guard on inmates in this unit following the rules?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if somebody doesn't follow the rules, what does that mean you have to do to somebody?
We'd have to write a disciplinary form against them for whatever infraction that they commit.
Okay, and do you have to do that a lot when you're working this unit?
Yes,
Like when a person said, like when you said a person is generally supposed to get 1 hour to take a shower, do some jumping jacks, personal hygiene, that's all they get, right? 1 hour a day.
yes, sir. 1 hour.
Now, sometimes they don't get the hour a day, right? That happens too.
Yes, sir. Depending on certain circumstances.
I mean, there's things going on at the jail all the time. So if your hour happens to fall when there's a lockdown or a problem, you lose your hour potentially, right?
Sometimes, yes, sir.
Is that something that, again, if an inmate, wants to take a shower and now they're told, hey, not today, you got to go back to your cell, is that something that would cause disciplinary problems regularly in the jail?
Yes, sir.
Is it common to have to write disciplinary reports because people just go stir crazy in their cell because for whatever reason, they start creating commotions and problems?
Yes, sir.
And that's just part of this unit, right?
Yes, sir. Correct.
Now in regards to Jesse in particular, has Jesse ever caused any problems at the jail while you have been there as a supervising officer for the 15 months that you supervised him?
Not that I can recall, no, sir.
Did he ever have a problem with not getting his 1 hour a day?
No, sir.
Did he ever have a problem with any cellie, a roommate that he had?
No, sir.
Did he ever give you any problems when he was in his cell for 23 hours, not doing anything every day, and just to yell or complain or curse or cause any problems whatsoever?
No, sir.
So every single time you've dealt with Jesse in the jail, what has been his demeanor towards you?
Been cordial, respectful, pretty much just all around just cordial, professional for the most part.
So at this point, not knowing his life history before he got put in the jail, but from what you've experienced and what you've seen of him specifically for 15 months out of the last 2 years, are you able to tell this jury, like, this is somebody who can follow the rules?
As far as for the administrative segregation, yes, sir.
All right. Like to be fair, I'm trying to think the best way of phrasing it, but ad seg is tough to live in, right? I mean, it's a tough situation being cooped up in a small cell for 23 hours a day with virtually no freedom.
Objective.
Sustained.
How would you describe the conditions of having to live in administrative segregation for a long period of time, like a couple of years?
Just depends on how long it's been. It's 1 hour a day out of the 23 hours. I've seen people that either can go through it and some people that can not go through it. It just depends on the person.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
State.
Hi, Deputy. Just have some questions for you. Mr. Acevedo was asking about the conditions of added and how difficult it can be.
So,
Would you agree with me that people who wind up in added seg, at least in a case like this, where we know the defendant has pled guilty to the very serious allegations that got him there, they brought it upon themselves, correct?
yes, ma'am.
And the reason for the restrictions in added seg is because of the allegations that have been brought against them, correct?
For charges, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. And when it comes to added seg, you've talked about how they're kind of isolated for a large portion of their day, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And them being isolated,
then means that they are not exposed to other people, other drama in the jail, other stressors in the jail. They are essentially a man on an island, correct?
Not,
Minus that 1 hour.
not technically, only because you still have the people that are yelling from their cell, or when they do come up for their hour, there's people that are still either trying to communicate different things from different cells, or yelling out from one cell to another for drama wise as well. So there's still some stuff in that unit that,
I guess compared to general population is what I'm saying. The amount of external forces that could add stress to their day or upset them or exacerbate them is much smaller in ag than it is in general population.
I would say it's a little bit more. Only due to the fact that, say, if you get that 1 hour a day to go on the phone, and say you have somebody that's just yelling constantly in their cell, that could cause you to have a stressor because you can't hear over the phone, or the phone can't register your voice to make that phone call when you only have that 1 hour for out of the 23 hours a day.
Do you have any idea how many times something like that has ever happened to Jesse specifically?
Not specifically, no, ma'am, I couldn't tell you exactly how many times.
So you don't know if it's never happened specifically?
It has happened since I've been there. I've had witnessed it a couple times, but I couldn't give you the exact amount.
Okay, so maybe a couple. And when somebody is an ag seg, like you mentioned, it's because they're looking at relatively serious charges. So you know that Mr. Prado has had this sentencing hanging over his head for those 2 years, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And so he's got an incentive to be on his best behavior, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned something about being on the mental health evaluation team. What
Yes,
does
ma'am.
that mean?
It's a different section in the jail that's in charge of talking to different inmates or different people that come in with their different mental health statuses, and interviewing them and seeing what's going on with them as well.
Have you had any interaction with him related to that?
No, that was after my time as his unit officer for a year and a half.
Okay, so you're not aware of any mental health issues or anything that he may
No, ma'am.
suffer from?
No.
Okay. And so you are a law enforcement official. I know you said you're not a peace officer, correct?
Correct. Yes,
But
ma'am.
would you consider yourself a law enforcement official?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you work closely with police officers?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you friendly, possibly friends with police officers given your role at the jail?
Yes, ma'am.
And given that, would you hope that somebody who opened fire on 2 unsuspecting police officers for no reason and nearly killed them would be held accountable for that?
I believe anybody that has any kind of charge would be held accountable if it is guilty or if they're guilty of it.
Your Honor, can we have 1 moment, please?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Yes.
No further questions.
All right, if you remove that, the rule has been invoked. You're not allowed to discuss your testimony or do anything about this trial until this trial has concluded. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Call your next witness.
It's called Richard Alonzo.
Can I see parties, please? Yes. All right, everyone, please be seated. And ladies and gentlemen, so do you wish to proceed? No? All right, so then this is what we'll do. There are two witnesses. My understanding, those witnesses are short. And they've been waiting to testify. So we'll,
Okay, quick correction. There's one witness who's short. We have two that are longer and then we're done.
all right. So we're gonna take up this witness, have them brought in, okay? All right, call your next witness.
Defense calls Richard Alonso.
All right, can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right, you can lower your hand. I'm gonna ask you, speak in the microphone so everyone can hear. And the attorneys, speak in the microphone so everyone can hear. All right, if you'll state your name for the record.
Richard Alonso.
All right, defense, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, Mr. Alonso. Thank you for being here. I know you've been here, and I just have a few questions for you, okay? First of all, can you just please let the jury know, how do you know Jesse Prado?
Yeah, Jesse and I first met back in 2019 when I moved into the new subdivision. We first got acquainted through the Facebook, kind of like the Facebook group for the community. We got acquainted that way, and we kind of had the same share of how petty and strict the HOA was, and we kind of would have banter back and forth. Kind of grew from there when COVID hit, and everybody was locked up in their houses. I actually got sick with COVID, and Jesse brought me food and an MRE, which I thought was funny, but that was kind of how we kind of built a friendship.
And in general, was that kind of your experience with Jesse, those examples you just gave the jury?
Yes.
And as far as, I mean, you mentioned the Facebook group. We had actually heard about the Facebook group earlier during testimony. Is that something that was typical of the neighborhood as well, that people would joke with each other and try and be friendly in like the way you're describing?
Correct.
And Jesse was a solid member and a contributing member of that community.
He was.
Pleading. Sustained.
Was he a good member of the community?
In regards to what I personally witnessed, yes.
Now, do you have children?
Yes.
What are their ages currently?
25 and 20.
And at the time that the incident happened, we're trying to get to in a second, were any of them living in the neighborhood with you?
My son was.
And they're older, so I imagine that they didn't go to school with Jesse's kids. Is that fair?
My son is a year ahead of his daughter, Madison.
Okay, yes. Okay, regarding Madison, so that was probably, they're in high school together at
Correct.
the time. But the younger children that Jesse had, they were.
No.
But you are aware that Jesse had 3 daughters.
Yes.
And had you observed Jesse with his daughters or known about his relationship with his family in general?
Numerous times, especially within the last year before the incident that took place. I had noticed Jesse was a little bit more frequent in taking his girls, picking them up from school. I live on the way to school, so they have to pass down my street. And I would see Jesse giving his youngest daughter a ride on his motorcycle. And every once in a while, when we had time, we would stop and chat with each other. We both had motorcycles at one time.
So y'all bonded over that?
Yes.
And what do you know about, just generally speaking, his relationship with his family? You mentioned those specific things, but did he seem close to them?
I saw that he had a love. He was a family man, and he had love for his daughters.
Now, I want to turn your attention to why we are here today. Are you aware that Jesse had shot 2 police officers back in October of 2023?
I was aware of the incident as it was unfolding, yes.
Is that because you were actually present in the neighborhood when it happened?
Yes.
And give the jury an idea of where you live in relation to Jesse.
So I live the next street over. It's on Fox Peak. It's, you would have to go down the street and then take a left, and then you would hit Alta Puerta, which is where he lived on the cul-de-sac.
So close, but not exactly on the same street. Is that
No.
fair? Now, what do you remember as far as hearing anything or observing anything that led your attention to know that something was going on?
So that night, I heard popping sounds, which I originally thought it was fireworks. They were kind of sporadic, and a couple of neighbors in that subdivision were texting back and forth. Did you hear that? And I stepped out in the back, and a neighbor had stepped out. She's like, I think somebody's shooting. And so I went out in the front. My sister lives on that street that is same as Jesse, and I walked over there as it was happening.
And when you got to the street, did you observe police presence?
I did. I didn't know. I mean, I knew shooting was happening. I didn't know what was going on. I saw a cop on the ground. I thought he was gaining position tactically or trying to find an angle towards Jesse. And at that point, I had went inside to my sister's house.
And you said you're specifically were saying gaining tactical advantage on Jesse. At that point in time, though, did you even know it was Jesse that was involved?
Oh, no, I did not.
But looking back at it now, you know it was Jesse
Yeah.
who was involved. Okay. So I want to get to that in a second. Obviously, that's super scary for everyone.
Correct.
And I'm sure you were terrified. Is that fair?
Yes.
And in the aftermath, do you remember the moment when you found out that it was Jesse who was involved, who had actually shot the two police officers?
Yes.
And what was your initial reaction when you found that out?
Shocked.
Why so?
That's not the person I've gone to know. It is a small community. I think it's 97 homes. Stuff like that is not supposed to happen in our neighborhood.
But it did.
Yes, sir.
And that was because of what Jesse did.
Correct.
And are you here today offering any excuse for his actions?
I am not.
And do you think it's okay what he did?
I do not.
But are you here today testifying because, as you just mentioned, that was not the person that you knew Jesse to be in your interactions with him?
Leaving, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Was it surprising to you that it was Jesse who had shot the police officer?
Absolutely.
Now, I imagine the state's going to ask you questions regarding your opinion about punishment. Now, you're not an attorney. Am I correct, sir?
Correct.
Okay. And I don't know, do you have any experience personally in the criminal justice system as it pertains to a case like this?
No.
Okay. Would you agree with me that the best people to decide the fate of Jesse Prado are the 12 jurors who've been listening to the evidence in this case for the entirety of the trial?
Yes.
And are you here only as a character witness for your interactions with Jesse Prado?
Yes.
I pass witness.
State.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, there's some questions for you. Because this isn't the person that you would come to know. When did you start to develop a closer, more personal friendship with Jesse?
I wouldn't say we were very close acquaintances. I would say around 2019, 2020, around the same time that we had moved in and probably joined the group together.
It's fair to say that if we're just talking about acquaintances, you never really know what's going on in somebody's personal life if you're just an acquaintance, correct?
Correct.
People who think that they know somebody can be totally shocked because they've done something disturbing, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you only know surface level, what you see, is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what he wanted you to see, what he projected towards you, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you didn't know that he slapped his wife leading up to this incident, did you?
I did not. And to be honest, I don't know Monet.
And did you know that he had been threatening to burn the house down just because she was gonna leave him?
I had learned that after all the events that transpired that night.
Okay. Did you know that he had threatened to put a gun to his kids' heads?
I did not.
Is that shocking to you?
Yes.
And not characteristic of the person that he made you think he was, correct?
Correct.
when it comes to the day that this happened, you said that you went over to your sister's house and that she lived on, Jesse Street.
Correct.
There's a map behind you. This is State's Exhibit 2A. And can you see the street names on this map? Do you recognize this intersection?
Yes.
Okay. Is your sister's house anywhere on this map?
Yes.
Which one is it?
So it is the car that's on the curb, the white car that's on the curb, or actually directly across the red car is the house.
This one?
Yes.
So is your sister Carol?
No, I believe Carol lives next. Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's Carla and James Harris. They live at that house.
James Harris.
The next house.
Sorry, yes. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. Does your sister have kids?
They're older, my age.
All right. And so you know that this house right here, I'm pointing to 6239 is Jesse's house.
Correct.
Do you know where the officers were when Jesse started shooting at them?
So the only officer I saw was the car that was directly in front of his house. He was laying on the ground behind a tire, behind his tires. And he had his weapon drawn, and it looked like he was looking.
But he was laying on the ground.
He was laying on the
Okay.
ground.
Could you see that he was bleeding out and dying?
I could not, at that moment, I did not know what was going on.
And so given where Jesse's house was and where the officer was injured, at that time, had you been able to deduce that the firing had been going in kind of this direction?
So by the time I had shown up, the shooting was pretty much done. So I didn't see
So you
where,
didn't know which direction the shots were firing
No, ma'am.
at the beginning? Okay. Did you know that shortly after the police arrived, Monette and their daughters went to Carol's house for sanctuary, basically, while they waited this out? Did you know that?
I learned that afterwards.
And the house, Carol's house is this one right here I'm pointing to, right? 16321.
Correct.
Did you know that when Jesse started shooting all of those rounds at the police officers, his daughters were right here running into the house?
I did not.
Is that shocking to you?
Yes.
Is that uncharacteristic of the person that Jesse Prado made you think he was when you met him?
Yes, ma'am.
No further questions.
I have no further questions, Judge.
All right, is this witness excused?
Yes, Judge.
All right, you may step down. The rule has been invoked. You're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
How long do you anticipate your next witness?
The next witness I anticipate would be over an hour. It's not.
Could I have parties approach?
Yes, ma'am.
So everyone, we will start tomorrow at 10:30.